Seeking answers about the afterlife, Chicago medical student Nelson persuades his fellow pupils to help him end his life and then resuscitate him in the nick of time. Atheist David, Playboy Joe, and troubled Rachel also journey into the unknown, looking for meaning in their own lives. As the experiments become more perilous, each is forced to contend with the paranormal consequences of trespassing on the other side. Welcome back to another installment of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode we'll be covering Joel Schumacher's Flatliners. All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for giving us a listen. As you heard, we're going to be covering Joel Schumacher's 1990 Flatliners, not the fucking remake. Zoheb, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's midday here right now in Australia, in Sydney, actually. I'm good, dude. This was a movie.
This definitely existed at some point.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. This is actually this movie came out. I was like 3 months old when this came out. So this came out like you know at the year I was born, and it's always good to find a movie because 1990 is not a great year for a lot of movies. I mean, Goodfellas came out and stuff, so I'm always excited to like talk about movies that came out like the year you were born. I don't know why. I just think that's.
Yeah, I love talking about Jurassic Park. I mean, that came out the year I was born, so.
Yeah, that's like I can't remember the website, but you can look up what movie was number one in the box office when you were born. I think mine's Exorcist 3, and that's a pretty good movie. But either way, we're not here to talk.
I haven't seen it.
Either way, we're not here to talk about the Exorcist 3. We're here to talk about motherfucking Flatliners. And as we said before, motherfucking Flatliners. As we said before, this is not a podcast coverage of the remake. I don't know. You know, we can talk about that for a few minutes, and because it's just inevitably going to come up. I mean, I went and saw it in theaters. I think you went and saw it too, didn't you, Zoheb?
Yeah, man. I saw it in theaters, and I wanted my money back.
Really? It was that bad? You thought it was that bad?
Well, it's not that I thought it was bad. Okay, look, I walked out of it, and I didn't really think... Actually, you know what? I remember giving a review of it, and I remember giving it like 2 out of 10 or some shit like that.
Damn.
I didn't like it when I saw it, but you know what? Let's just talk about it right here because it's already here. Mm-hmm. I didn't like it, but when I saw it, I mean, I was kind of indifferent about it. Now, when I think back, I can't remember jack shit about that movie. Like, seriously, there is not one moment in that movie that I can like really point out. I do remember thinking. Oh, I do remember the Kiefer Sutherland sort of extended cameo. Mm-hmm. You know, Ellen Page is good. Diego Luna is good. Nina Dobrev's hot. Come on, she's fucking stunning girl. Yeah. And also thinking that movie was directed by the guy who did the Swedish Girl with the Dragon Tattoos. So he's a pretty good director. I mean, like he can direct. So I mean, the script must have just been that flat and like, you know, I don't know. It was just so forgettable. Like there was no sort of moment of it that was like, oh, this is cool. I mean, you know, just fucking, I don't know. It was just so bland.
I know what you mean. It kind of felt very like the vanilla PG-13 version of what Flatliners really like is. And I rate it a little bit higher than that strictly because, you know, it's really odd. The first like 2/3 of the movie are good. And then after that, it just gets really kind of weird and it starts feeling like a Final Destination movie. And I hate those movies. I just think the first one's pretty good, you know, but like after that, it's just... Hey,
a little insight into me. I dig them.
Really? Oh my god, we are just disagreeing left and right. It's what we're so 5 minutes in.
I mean, no. Actually, you know what? Like, let's put it on the table. They're fucking stupid. They are the stupidest movies you'll ever see. But they're fun, man. Like, there was no part of Flatliners, the remake, that I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I mean, I I rewatched Final Destination 2 the other day, and that's the one with the big car crash, and I was like, God damn, this is excess. Like,
Right,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? This is like massive. Like, you know, they're obviously doing this just so they can like get all these like deaths and kills in and things like that. And that's what kind of makes it fun, because it's so cheesy and so corny. Whereas like Flatliners, the remake, kind of had this, we're taking it seriously, but at the end it becomes kind of like a haunted house, kind of like a just a run-of-the-mill horror movie. It's actually funny you bring up Final Destination, because I was actually thinking about Final Destination while watching Flatliners.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just the whole idea of death, and death coming for you and things like that. It's actually very, very Final Destination.
Yeah, and like there was like in this, just to kind of put us back on topic, with the 1991, it definitely felt like very horror-ish, but it never felt like a slasher kind of movie. Like you said, like the haunter, like we're setting up to kill, we're setting up the people, just have them killed in these like brutal ways or whatever. But it felt in a weird way like almost like a Stephen King story. Like, you know,
oh my God, you took the words right out of my mouth. I have a note here. I have a note here. Like, seriously, this feels like a Stephen King story, because little about me, I have never seen the movie Flatliners 1990 before this watch. This is the first time I've ever seen it.
Oh, and that's such a crime, man. Like, it's such a crime to have not seen it and then seen the remake first. Like, oh my God.
Well, obviously, I was aware of the conceit. I was aware of the premise. And look, I actually had to look it up, because while I was watching it, I was like, this feels like a Stephen King adaptation. Just the way they've got the horror, the supernatural aspects, even just kind of going into the main character's history when they were kids and all these traumatic things that happened while they were kids. That's very King to me. And I looked it up, and it's completely original. It's an original script. It's not based on a book. It's like I mean, you know, that's back when Hollywood, you know, had ideas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the guy's name, and it was his first script. His name's I think Peter Fidaldi.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was his first script that he wrote, and it's this movie's kind of odd. You've got Joel Schumacher directing. You've got this guy who's never written a script before, Peter Fidaldi, his first script. Michael Douglas produced it.
Yeah.
And then Jan de Bont, who went on to direct Speed and Twister, and, you know, like The Haunting. And I mean,
Hold up.
He's the cinematographer of this movie.
Hold up. And you left out the fucking magnum opus, Speed 2 Cruise Control. He directed that. But yeah, dude, I feel like our notes are both on point, because literally that's my second note. Director Joel Schumacher, now famously directed Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, the two movies that Batman fans really want to forget. But dude, have you seen Joel Schumacher's resume? I'm looking at it now. I dig a lot of his movies, like not the latest ones, not the later ones, but Phone Booth.
Lost
dig
Boys?
Phone Booth. Lost Boys, A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey. I haven't seen Phantom of the Opera. 8mm is good. Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Holy shit, man! This guy works, and this guy used to be. Well, actually, yeah, I'm gonna say used to be, because his latest movies like Trespass with Nicolas Cage and shit are terrible. Apparently, he directed The Number 23, with Jim Carrey, which was. I haven't seen it. But I heard it's pretty weird.
Yeah, it's very different for Jim Carrey. I think that's it's kind of interesting, but it gets a little old after a while. But
oh no, I was just going to continue with the production, like the people behind the camera, like you said, Jan de Bont, whatever, Frenchman. Yeah, he's behind the camera. He's pretty famous for Speed and Speed 2. Music, dude? James Newton Howard, Lord of the Rings.
Oh shit! I did not know that. I have notes about the music because it's very like angelic choirish and it's great. But I didn't know that he was the one who did Lord of the Rings. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he did Lord of the Rings. He did Signs. He did, I believe it was King Kong. Like he does a lot of Peter Jackson stuff. Yeah, man, this has got some pretty good people behind the camera.
Yeah, right. And it's a shame that it with all those good names behind it, that it's not as good as it could have been. Because
Right, exactly.
I guess we'll just go right into opening impressions. Like I do love this movie. It came out the year I was born. It was definitely something I remember watching on TV as a kid. Them having like the edited for television version, because it's not really, there's not really that much stuff. I'm surprised this is really R-rated. I can't remember like a lot of like F-bombs in it and stuff. They have some nudity and stuff like that, but nothing that by today, I don't, maybe I just say fuck so much that they just slip right past me, and I just don't even think about them anymore.
Funny story, man. Like, I remember the first time. Okay, so I've talked about the Australian kind of ratings, the way they work here. The US ratings always kind of like have it really spelled out clearly. There was Bad Boys 2, I'd never forget. We rented Bad Boys 2. It was rated for strong violence and I think it was like low-level language or something like that. And this was like way back when we were kids. I think we were like 9 years old. And we put it in. We put it in, watched it with our dad. First scene, and they're like swearing their fucking heads off. And my dad's like, all right, we got to take this back.
Your dad pulled on my dad like when I had RoboCop. He was like, nope.
Yeah, just straight out, let's eject this bitch and get it the fuck out of here, because and then like lo and behold, Bad Boys 2, one of my favorite action movies, like is now. But it's just funny. It's just a funny little anecdote there that I just thought I'd interrupt you for.
Yeah, every time I hear Bad Boys 2 now, I can't help but think of Nick Frost from Hot Fuzz. You ain't seen Bad Boys 2. Like, dude, that's all I can think of. But
for sure.
I love this movie. I think it's one of the more original ideas that's come out there. Like, I wouldn't say it's one of the most original. I mean, it's not like Inception. Inception's like, I mean, I think that's, in
that's
an age
God
where,
tier.
Right, yeah, that's really, really, really high up there. But I love these kind of premises with stuff like this. Something like Inception or like The Adjustment Bureau, which is really good if you've ever seen that, or like Flatliners. Like none of those movies have almost like they almost have nothing in common, but they have really, really great premises, and a great premise can get you through so much. Take like Field of Dreams with like Kevin Costner. Like just the premise of that is just like it takes reality and it just steps outside of it like just a little bit, just enough that we can still relate to the story, and we're not talking about something that's just so far out there, like aliens or something that really takes us out of it. But I love I love premises like this because they're simple. It's something that we can all relate to. It's something that's universal, no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what ethnicity or sexual orientation or gender or whatever, you're all going to die. And everybody wants to know what happens when you die. It's so interesting, especially with so many different beliefs, and the way you were raised versus the way I was raised. There's so many different belief systems in what happens after you die, and everybody really just wants answers to that. And I think that this is kind of like I don't know. It is kind of like the Apollo missions. It's kind of like the first to like dancing with it a little bit and just seeing how far you can go. Like they are treading into just like new things. It's the thing that we all fear, and it's the thing that we're all just because we don't know what happens, and so it ends up obviously being something that needs to be conquered, needs to be conquerable, needs to be understood, because you always fear what you don't understand. And I think that this movie does a great job of kind of reconciling like people who do have those, they do have systems of belief with religion, but then you have a character like Kevin Bacon's character who's a complete atheist. It's nice because there is kind of like a mix of stuff in there, and I think ultimately it does a good job of kind of balancing that, people who aren't religious, people who are religious, but at the same time, it's a dark movie. Like it's really dark, and but it's just it's just dark enough to where it doesn't get almost like like emo kid, like nihilistic kind of shit. But I love like the level that it's at, and all of the like we said, the music behind it, the kind of gothic architecture that you see in a lot of it. I think it's a great movie, and there's some things I don't like about it. I think some of the performances are a little meh. I mainly out of like Oliver Platt, just his character. He was a good character, but like the way he performed it was well, but God, he was such a stick in the mud that he was pissing me. I was like, why is this guy even here? I guess you need one person who never goes, but like, why the fuck is this guy here? And yeah, I guess he's just there as some kind of comedic relief, as to be kind of like but sir, that kind of like character. But ultimately, I think they do a good job of juggling the characters as well, and giving them enough screen time, even between. I mean, you got some major players in this: Julia Roberts, Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon. There's like a lot of names to juggle in there. I think they do a good job of that.
Absolutely.
Well, what are your opening impressions?
Yeah, so like I said, it's my first time ever watching this movie, and I dug it.
Okay, good. Here it comes.
No. Seriously, I dug the hell out of this movie. Obviously, I knew what was coming because I'd seen the remake, so I knew what the sort of premise was and things like that. But yeah, this was actually really well made. I feel like our notes are kind of like mirror images, because I have a little spiel that I was gonna do, but you fucking stole my thunder about how it's basically human nature to kind of wonder what's on the other side of the veil, and like it's something we can all relate to. It's definitely something that appeals to everyone. It's just a really, really clever script, I think. And that's why I was kind of like really, really like, wow, this is original. It's so weird to see. I couldn't like take my fucking mind off the thing that like it was like, surely this is going to be written by Stephen King. Surely this is going to be written by someone. But no. Yeah, it was just, dude, it was good. I actually really liked the performances. I agree with you on Oliver Platt, and to some extent, Billy Baldwin. But the three, Sutherland, Roberts, and Bacon, holy shit, those three are fucking great, especially Roberts. She kills this role, man. And goddamn, she was a looker back in the day. She's a looker now, but she's like, I just want to live in that hair.
That looks so nice and soft.
Yeah, it's so nice and soft and like a bird's nest. But yeah, man, it's a solid thriller. Wouldn't go so far to say it's a horror. I mean, like not much is these days. But yeah, it's definitely a solid thriller. There weren't really any sort of like big surprises or anything like that. It kind of went the way that I thought it would, but again, that might also be my little venture into the shitty remake side of things. What else? Oh shit. This is great radio, by the way, me trying to decide what to talk about. There's really not much to it. It's a very small, narrow movie.
Yeah, it's real quick.
Real quick, straight to the point. Look, dude, that's what I loved. Like it's just straight to the point. Because I remember there was a lot of fuckery in the remake. Like, oh shit, this guy's doing this. I'm not going to be a part of this. And then like there is a little bit of that in this. But like they kind of get over it really quickly. Again, that's Oliver Platt's kind of thing. I have a note here. Like, is his name really Steckel? Like,
yes.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's like, dude, let's make this guy sound so unappealing. I mean, I guess they do. I guess they do it right because he is so unappealing to us as a character.
Yeah.
He's just a spineless, like, this kid has. I mean, this guy's probably never had an honest, like get your hands dirty kind of job. Just went straight into med school, but he also is kind of like the voice of reason. I think that's why we kind of go against him because, like, hey, we're here to see some people die, and it's like,
well, that's right, yeah. We're here for fun, right?
Right, yeah, and this guy's kind of like hey, make sure you look both ways before you cross the street, and it's like, fuck off, dude, like, get away from me.
And get away from me, get away from me, Platt. And also, he's put some weight on since this movie. Like, have you seen him now?
Oh, we were watching, what was it, Lake Placid. I think that came out in like 95. And it's like, God, this guy looks like he ate Kevin Bacon on the set of Flatliners.
Dude, he's an X-Men First Class. He's a big fucker in that.
Hey, I can't say shit. I'm fucking like 300 pounds, so,
hey man, we're all fat bastards here. Okay, come on.
That's why we could say it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're the ones with the mics, though. Oliver Platt doesn't really have a mic right now, so he can't really defend himself, can you, Oliver Platt? But yeah, he's also in Fargo, which he's really good in. The show. But yeah, Bacon rocking a sweet mullet. Holy shit.
Yeah, talking about some hair.
Dude, can we talk about how 80s this movie is? I know it's 90. It came out in 90, but I believe it was obviously made before that. It was made in probably 89, even 88, but I'm going to say 89. Yeah, very, very 80s. Like, the music, everything about it is just really 80s. I don't know.
No, it definitely, and I think that's a Schumacher kind of like, look at Batman Forever. I mean, it's made in 97. It looks like it came out in 87. And
it looks like it. I can't even look at that movie anymore.
Yeah, it's Batman Forever. I don't hate as much as Batman and Robin, but it's still
Forever's possible, but barely.
But barely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that being said, do you want to go ahead and jump in? You got anything else?
No, man, there really isn't that much to kind of preamble with this movie. Like, it's very sort of straightforward. There's no sort of like. There's really not that much to cover, but yeah, man, I'm ready to get into it. Let's get into it.
Well, first off, what was the budget, Zoheb?
Fuck.
For those listening at home, he never sees this coming, and I don't know why.
I don't know why. I just like I know you're gonna ask it in like the back of my head, but I never like prepare. Okay, I'm gonna guess because it's 1990, and it's let's go 30 mil.
30 million. It was like 21.
Oh, fuck.
But I'm not gonna lie, this does not feel like a $21 million movie. I mean, that's obviously most of your cast. You've got, I think, Pretty Woman came out in 90. Kiefer Sutherland had already made Stand By Me, so he was obviously getting like bigger. Kevin Bacon, was obviously a big name. There's Tremors and Footloose behind him at this point. And the crazy part is $21 million, it cost to make this movie. It actually made 60 back just domestically.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. Shit. Yeah, I couldn't find anything on like the international box office, but I don't think it's going to be anything close to like 60 million. I mean, maybe it was, but either way, it's most of the money went towards obviously the cast. I think the remake had a budget of like 19 million, I think, but yeah, it doesn't feel like a $21 million movie. It really doesn't. I feel like you could have, if you'd have just grabbed a bunch of no-name actors and done it, you could have probably done this movie for 12. Like, I mean, it's there's not a lot of special effects, and there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of like wasted time on stuff. I don't feel like. I think some people could probably disagree with that, and I would agree with them to some degree. That there is a lot of character development, in these people, but I think they do it. I think they execute it well. But still, I think this movie could have been done so much cheaper than $21 million.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially 1990 money. It's like 21 million. Like, damn.
Yeah, that's a lot. Sorry, can I just get something on the record? It wasn't James Newton Howard that worked on Lord of the Rings. I just want to get that clear. Made a mistake. I know.
Jesus
I fucked up.
Christ.
James, I was right with King Kong. He worked with Hans Zimmer on Batman Begins. He did Blood Diamond. He worked with Hans Zimmer on Dark Knight, Bourne Legacy, Hunger Games series. Yeah, he's pretty fucking good.
His repertoire actually sounds more impressive the second time around. You start talking about Batman and Hans Zimmer, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, Newton Howard's he's a fucking beast. I can't, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I fucked up the Lord of the Rings thing. But anyway, let's go on.
Jesus Christ,
I'm a fucking idiot. Why do I even work here?
Jesus,
it's fucking amateur.
Do what?
I'm a fucking amateur.
But yeah, basically jumping right in. Yeah, this movie does a great job with, like we said, the music right off the bat. That great kind of like angelic choir kind of feel to it. And the shots. This kind of leaves me feeling like the Exorcist. These opening shots with like in the Exorcist, obviously these religious statues out in the desert on a dig site, but I kind of get the same feeling here. We've got something that's under construction. We've got these large statues looming over everything. It really gave me like an Exorcist kind of vibe, which I fucking love that movie. I could talk about the Exorcist like all day long. Great book,
I dig
too.
The connection, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely made me feel that way, like watching it, and it's kind of got a similar vibe to it as the Lost Boys. Have you ever seen Lost Boys?
Not in a very long time. Like, I can't even remember a sequence or even what it was about. It's time for me to refresh on that one, I think.
It's good. I mean, it's just a lot of it doesn't hold up, but I mean, it's a good movie. I think it's still on Netflix. Which that one's also got Kiefer Sutherland. This is like one of, I think, 6 projects they worked together on. They did Phone Booth and Lost Boys. They've done like quite a bit of stuff together. But yeah, these opening kind of scenes just really got me feeling the Exorcist kind of vibes. And this college, I'm like, where the fuck is this college? Like Rome? Like what kind of college looks like this? Like this.
What city? Oh, they're in. Where are they?
Chicago.
Oh, okay. Tri-City. Yeah, okay.
But still, I'm like, damn, dude. Like, how much is your tuition, bro?
Can we also talk about why Kiefer Sutherland is dressed like the Unabomber?
Dude, okay, you said Unabomber. I said he was like the male Sarah Connor. Like, he's got like the trench coat and the circle glasses. And I was like, dude, you look like you're auditioning for T1. Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
No, that's T2 right there, man. T1's fucking waitress Sarah Connor.
Yeah, he's like, because he's got the kind of like Terminator like brown overcoat, but then like these round glasses. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This guy looks like he's like ex-military, like casing out a fucking heist or something.
But I love his first line. I love the first line in the movie, though.
Oh yeah, it's what is it? Today's a good day to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like we're introduced to a lot of these characters pretty quickly. We see Kiefer Sutherland right away. By the way, if the sun is moving like that, be a little bit more panicked, because it's like he's just staring at the sun as it's flying across the sky. Like
it's 90s as shit, man. It's fucking 80s as shit.
Dude, I wanted to see a quick reaction of him, like, huh, what the fuck? Like,
why is this happening?
Yeah, what's going on? But yeah, and then we're also introduced to Kevin Bacon, who plays David Labratio. Interesting last name.
I know. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right. Like David Labratio, and then Billy Baldwin's character is Joe Hurley. I was like, oh, all right, well, But yeah, I say we just go ahead and get all of these names kind of like out like right now, because I don't want to keep calling them Sutherland and Bacon and stuff like that. And I think it just helps. It kind of takes you out of it a little bit when you're constantly saying the actor's name. So we've got Kiefer Sutherland. It's
gonna be tough for me, man.
Yeah,
I've only got one viewing of this movie, so
yeah. Okay, well, I'll hold your hand. It's okay. I got you, bud.
Thanks, man.
We've got Nelson, who is Kiefer Sutherland, Manis, who is Julia Roberts, Labratio, who is Kevin Bacon, Hurley is Billy Baldwin, and Randy Steckel, who's Oliver Platt is Randy Steckel. But
AKA
definitely some
bitch.
AKA the worm. But what I like is that we're introduced to these characters pretty quickly. We're introduced to Nelson. Then we're introduced to Labratio in the emergency room. So basically, what's going on? Something's wrong with this patient. Obviously, it's they're talking way too fast for me to understand any of their medical lingo. But they bring her back
Don't
there.
even try.
Yeah, don't even try. And these, basically they're all still in school. I don't think they're technically allowed to go ahead and start, operating on people or prescribing people stuff. But here we are, we're Kevin Bacon. Basically, he's saying there's no time, that this woman would have died, and performs an unauthorized surgery on her that ends up saving her life. But ultimately, they kind of, they're obviously very pissed off at him. And it's one of those things like I get it. Like you are a med student. Like, I don't know about go ahead and jumping into a surgery like right away. But at the same time, she had he not done it, she'd have died. So it's like we show kind of show Labratio. This guy is a person who doesn't really, I don't play by the rules, but I mean, when it comes down to saving a human life, fuck that. I don't care, dude. Like, I'm saving somebody's life. This is why I became. I guess he's a surgeon. I assume he's not just a regular like MD. But yeah, we move from him over to Randy Steckel, played by Oliver Platt. One of the worst names I've ever heard for a character we're not supposed to like.
Well, I think it's kind of like, he's a stickler, so right. Steckel.
Right, yeah, like Steckel, stick in the mud. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Fuck you, movie.
Fuck you, movie. But yeah, this guy, I mean, he's so fucking full of himself. Coming up with these names for his book. Randall Steckel, Genesis of a Young Surgeon. And I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Dick.
This guy is
ate 10 dicks.
Yeah.
This lady that when it cuts back, who's telling the story to Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not Julia Roberts. Dr. Rachel Manis.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was like, where have I seen this woman from? Where have I seen her from? I went through her entire IMDb. She has so many credits. This woman fucking works.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, she's in a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah, among other things. Okay, number one, she's Dwight's babysitter from The Office, the US Office. She's the one who kind of like crashes the dinner party with him. It's fucking hilarious. And I'm going to call her a bitch because she's Helen from Speed, who is annoying as shit. Mm-hmm. She's the one that gets blown up while they're kind of like trying to escape, trying to jump over to the police fucking vehicle. Mm-hmm. She's fucking annoying as hell in that movie.
Dude, yeah, she's in Donnie Darko as well. She's like the next door. Donnie tells her to shove the thing. He told me to forcibly insert the lifeline exercise into my anus. Like, oh, dude, but she's great. She's fucking great at playing that character, man. She's such a bitch.
Yeah.
But the story, this is which makes this scene even kind of more weird because she's not that character at all. She's basically talking about her near-death experience and talking to Dr. Manis, and just telling her that she saw a white light and it was one of the most beautiful voices she'd ever heard. And this story really kind of, I mean, it's you're engaged in the story to begin with, but then she says, the voice says that you're going to go back, but I'm going to take your baby. It's like, oh fuck, like, I mean, it kind of jumps, it jumps up like another 2 notches on the shit like scale. It's like, oh fuck, like I wasn't expecting it to go there. But it's a movie that shows you right away that we're not afraid to talk about death of the old, death of the young. It's death. I was like, oh wow, you're like, that's okay, cool, you got me. Like, I respect you're taking this seriously. We're not just like combing over the parts of death that we don't like to talk about. Like, we're going to talk about it straight up. And there's like the baby who dies. There's a guy who shoots himself. There's a lot of different variety of it as well. Which is kind of interesting. It doesn't play to like any religious kind of taboos about suicide or anything like that. I like that because there's not a whole lot of talk of like a lot of religious stuff in this. They aren't like, well, that's not what the Bible says.
Definitely there though.
Right. I mean, they're all doctors. They're all people of science and people of medicine, and they put their faith in other stuff than that, which is kind of cool. I like that personally. But yeah, she's basically just going over these near death experiences, and we hear from the other nurse that's kind of breaking everything up. Why are you always asking them about death? And obviously it comes back later. She's very interested because of a personal reason, but that's not revealed to us till much later. But they try to dumb her down like so much in this movie, like make her look just so like unattractive. And what's great is that basically the character is supposed to be kind of portrayed as kind of like frigid and kind of cold and not very warm, and I think she pulls that off well. And yeah, they could have ditched the glasses and having her hair always pulled back, and she comes across as that kind of like emotionally stunted person very well. She's very reserved, she's really shy, or not so much shy, but she's just she chooses her words wisely and doesn't really, she sees through people's bullshit real quick. I got that feeling from her like right away. I was like, okay, like when she's talking to Joe Hurley in the scene when they're slicing into that guy's foot, which was like kind of like, ooh, like I kind of like, I don't want to see that, like when they were cutting into the bottom of that guy's foot.
There's a bit of that in this.
Yeah, I was like, fuck. But yeah, he's basically, hitting on her and saying,
I love this exchange, man.
Yeah, that's very, very good. I don't think that the rumors are about you at all, that you're cold and not available and frigid and she's pointing at the organs, saying identify, and he identifies it, and he pulls back the sheet and shows her the dick. He's like, identify. She's like, your brains. I was like, that's good. It's good. It's
good
very
shit, man.
Yeah, it's good and it's really quick.
Very clever.
We're automatically, we're already introduced to all 5 of our main characters. Here we are 8.5 minutes into the movie, and they are already talking about what their plans are. And basically, this whole thing has already been set up before. He's talked to Labratio, he's talked to Manis, he's talked to Steckel, he's talked to all of them, and Hurley as well, as to come and be a part of this. And of course,
I've got a little note quickly.
Yeah.
Scaling is such bullshit.
Dude, I'm glad you said something about that.
Seriously, like fucking this she's a teacher, I think. She walks in, she's like, I'm gonna give this many A's, this many B's, this many C's, D's and F's. And like, seriously, can't you just like grade people based on merit anymore? Like, seriously, because they did. I don't know if they do that at like uni, but they definitely did it back in high school when we were like doing our big sort of certificate. And like, I was just like, God, scaling is such bullshit. Like, I mean, why do you have to fall into a certain category? Can't you just be like, oh, I did great work, so shouldn't I get this grade? I don't know.
Right. No,
that's my little rant.
No, for sure, dude. I didn't go to college, but for like 6 months. But if I'd ever seen that, I would have been like, "Fuck this, dude!" Like that is bullshit.
It's so unfair.
Yeah, that's absolute. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand it's you're gonna try the hardest that you can try, and that's great and all. But like, what if we all do the exact same job? What the fuck are you gonna do then?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we're basically, we have this kind of exchange between Steckel and Hurley talking to Nelson, saying, "Yeah, I love Nelson's line. I can't believe that the people with the ability, saying something about the people with ability don't have the nerve to do it." I'm like, God, that's a good line. There's a lot of good dialogue, especially from Nelson in this. Some of it's a little cheesy, it's 75-25, but he's got some really good lines when. He's got some really good lines when it comes to the more serious stuff. The lines that kind of fall flat are like the 80s-ish kind of stuff, but
suck me.
Is that 80s? No, but they're basically, he's told about Labratio. Labratio is going to be this is the most preposterous part of this movie, that he would be on a 4-month suspension. Fuck that, dude. You would be out of that school so fast for that. Like, I mean, and I know, you can grade it with a curve because of what he says. You're the greatest student this school's ever had, blah, blah, blah. And obviously they don't want to get rid of him. And, we're kind of showing that he is proficient and that he is intelligent and, that he has the talent. But, I mean, dude, there's just no way. There's no fucking, especially now.
He'd be arrested, man. He'd be like fucking tried in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, right. Especially by today's standards. Maybe not in 1990 or 88 or whatever, but, yeah, and again, there's a good, basically he comes to Labratio. Labratio wants nothing to do with it. In the previous scene, Steckel and Hurley said that they're both going to come. But Labratio is like, no, I'm out. I'm not doing this. I don't want to sit here and watch you kill yourself. And I love, he's like, you burnt your career on a total stranger today, and now you're turning your back on a friend. I was like, damn, like that's a good line. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's a good line. I like that. And I love the way that whole conversation ends with him. He's like, what if it worked? Like that. Oh, that is enough. That isn't, he knows that it's enough for any scientific kind of medical or whatever. He knows it's enough to tempt him. Right. It's so great. Like,
it's good shit. It's good shit.
Yeah. He would absolutely have me convinced, like right off the bat. But then we get some more on Manus. She's still talking to a patient. I cannot remember this patient's name. She's only in about 2 scenes.
It's really sweet. She's worried about money. Like when she dies, she's like, don't put me into a grave that's over $100 or something like that. Oh no, on Saturdays. Don't bury me on Saturdays. And I'm just like, God damn, that's dark, man.
Those are your last thoughts, like Jesus.
Yeah. And then we cut to fucking Billy Baldwin laying some pipe.
laying the old Baldwin Expressway.
Laying some pipe. This is weird because what camera? Seriously. Right? Like, because only 4 people had cameras back then, apparently.
Right, yeah. And go ahead.
Oh, no, because Sutherland's like, don't be late, don't forget the camera. And like, everyone has cameras now, and she's like, what camera?
Yeah, right.
Back then it's like, oh, yeah, okay, you've got a camera, wow, fucking spread my legs.
Yeah, like this probably ends up being, out of all of the people who have out of all of them who have done things, I don't want to say that like what Baldwin does is the worst, but the intent of it. You have Nelson, and his was accidental. You have Labracio's, who is really just who's really just his stuff is from when he was a kid. And then you got Julia Roberts, and her stuff is just something from when she was a kid. None of them are like super, super guilty parties except for Baldwin. I'm like, dude, that is some fucked up shit, man. Like, that is super fun. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I've got a quick question. And this might be me just kind of like falling asleep last night watching this movie. And look, that's not an indictment on the quality of the movie. It's really good. Does his issue ever get resolved? Like,
somewhat.
Recall.
We'll come up to a part where it definitely.
Yeah.
He definitely. He kind of gets a comeuppance, but not really. Not in the way that the rest of them do. But he does kind of. Yeah. He does somewhat get his just desserts, but
he doesn't. He doesn't really atone for it though. Like
no.
Like the others do.
Right, he only feels bad because he gets caught. He doesn't. He feels bad when he starts seeing them everywhere and starts seeing all of the stuff. And I think we do see a little bit of regret from him when he's about to go under for the first time, and he's just talking to her saying, we should have got married earlier on in the summer, and blah blah blah. And I think, but even that, I think it's just him saying, I'm afraid I'm about to die, and that's the only reason why I'm feeling anything is when I'm about to lose something. Is when now is when I'm sorry for everything. And I think that's kind of the whole point of the movie. It's like here's all these things that we, except for really Manus, that we weren't really sorry about, that we thought were over with and that we put away in our past, but we still have to atone for them. But no, it doesn't ever really come around like all the way. He doesn't quite get his just desserts, but yeah, he especially is like fucking super creepy, man. Like out of everything that's going on, I was like, dude, you're the most fucked up out of everybody here. Like, there's something wrong with you, man. But yeah, at this point, let me ask you: would you do it? Would you flatline?
No, I wouldn't, and I'll tell you why. Number one, there's no, because I was thinking about this. I was actually going to ask you this as well. There's no guarantee of you coming back, right? Mm-hmm. If there was a guarantee of me coming back, I'd fucking come back.
Right.
Number two, what would be the point? Like, it doesn't answer anything. Like, I guess you'll experience what it is like on the other side, but it's not permanent. Like, you don't kind of get to experience that forever. And then, like, when you come back, number three, you'll be asking so many questions. You'll be like, what was that? What was the meaning of this? What was the meaning of that? that's all you'll be kind of thinking about. So like I wouldn't do it. And like that's another thing I like about this movie. Also, sorry, I'll ask you in a sec as well whether you would as well. But I like that. It's kind of saying that death should be respected. Really,
for sure.
really much like Final Destination, except Final Destination does it in a stupid way, like it's really fucking on the nose. Whereas this is like, death is it's a thing. It's something that should be respected and should be given the deserved weight that it needs, because it's an absolute. It's a final thing. It's something that shouldn't be taken lightly. It's not something that we can delve into for a few minutes and then come back out of it. It's something that should be experienced once and once only and forever.
Right, yeah. It's not something you should like fucking play chicken with,
Right, exactly. You're playing with fire here, right? But right. Yeah, would you flatline? I feel like from my response that you would.
Yeah. Oh no, I would definitely flatline. And it's like you said, there's no absolute guarantee. But I mean, the chances are pretty good in your favor. I mean, as long as you're like, because it's self-induced. I think if it's something like you just start shutting down, unless they're going to give you a brand new heart, or a brand new brain or brand new whatever it is that you need, you're not really going to be bouncing back from that. But I think that the temptation to do it is too great. I would have to, because I've had, I've read a lot, about like a lot of different religions, and watched a lot of debates between like what some people call like the four horsemen of the apocalypse of like atheism. It's like Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett, and I've watched them debate a lot of people, and I've seen, and strictly because I was raised in a very like religious household, so I always wanted to see the other side of that. So I've had an upbringing of a certain type of belief, but now as an adult, I have a totally different type of belief system. So it's like, for me, I would almost like, the temptation would be too much, because I've seen so many different people, spend so much of their time trying to figure out what happens. And ultimately, do I really think that this tells you what happens after you die? I don't even know if I believe that, because there's like, it's like Labratio says, you were dead for 5 minutes, but like you still have, neurons firing through your brain. You have like activity going on. So that's not necessarily saying that, that you were dead and you saw afterlife and then came back. It's not like getting thrown in the deep end and then getting pulled right back out. There's a chance you might have never even been in the deep end. You don't really know. But I was reading about, because it got me interested, what is the longest amount of time anybody has ever stayed dead and was like brought back and resuscitated back to life. One of the first things that pulled up was a woman. She was dead for 17 hours.
Holy shit.
I don't understand how. I just read it in the Telegraph. I guess it happened in England. But they said that her vitals were dropping down to less than 10%. She had no heart rate. She had no blood pressure. She had no pupil dilation. There was no breathing, nothing. And they said 17 hours later, like, her heart just started beating again. And I was like, wow, that's fucking crazy. So like, that's why sometimes I doubt, what I really thought that I reached, like the quote unquote, the other side. I don't really know, because it could just be something going on in your brain this whole time. And I think that's interesting to bring up as well. Like, do we think that they really see like, the other side of things? Do we really think that they see that? Or are these just things that they've locked up in their memory and for whatever reason fly? Because everybody says your life always flashes before your eyes. I'm like, well, what if these people
kind of like a subconscious thing?
Yeah, like I don't think it's any coincidence that it's some of the most traumatic events for most of them. And there's probably still, when the whole of your life is flashing before you and you're dying, you remember those things and they bother you, and you realize, man, I've like, kind of like with Manis and her older patients, she's like, I've got so many people I've got to talk to, and I've got unfinished business, basically. And that's what a lot of it seems like, more so than it's like, yeah, I've reached the other side, blah, blah. It's more like, no, this thing has tapped into some kind of unfinished business that I have. And I don't know, the movie never expressly says like, yes, I've seen, I saw God, or I saw heaven or hell or whatever. It's really more so about, for whatever reason, they start flatlining and they have to pay for these. It kind of gets away from the point of the movie in a way. It kind of gets away from, what they're really, because this other problem arises and they have to atone for that kind of stuff. And maybe you can say that's just the kind of price you pay for fucking with that kind of stuff. Like, it's like God kind of maybe throws you a curveball and lets you know that you're playing in the wrong field. I don't know. I think it's kind of open for interpretation, but it's definitely something interesting. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think that they're flatlining and seeing, what's on the other side, or do you think it's just like some kind of chemical release, or what?
I think that it's tough. It is tough because, like, obviously we've got no point of reference, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I think they're kind of like thinking about their biggest wrongs in life, if that makes sense. So they're thinking about things that they've questioned, that they've done, that they, like, before they die, they really haven't had a chance to kind of make up for. It's funny, actually, because I was like, while I was watching this, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, right?
Yeah.
He had a heart attack not too long ago, and he talked about how he was, like, as he was dying, he was filled with, like, a sense of calm, and that he like, this might all just be bullshit, but, like, Smith he's always so genuine that I'm always kind of tending to believe him. So he talks about how he always assumed that when he died, he'd die screaming like his dad, because his dad died of a massive heart attack. But he was like, no, I was filled with, like, a sense of calm. I had a great life. I was loved by parents who raised me to become the individual I am. He had a great family. He had a great career. So he says, he was content with a lot of things, with everything, and he didn't really have anything that he was really sorry for. And then he'd kind of, like, put in a joke, except for that movie, because that was shit. But yeah, like, I think that kind of goes to what you're saying. He kind of, like, obviously this is a real world example and this is just a movie. He didn't really have anything that he was really sorry for and didn't really get to kind of make up for. So therefore he was kind of filled with a sense of calm.
Yeah. I think also it's, a lot of them have guilt over stuff, but most of them are trying to make right things that they've wronged. But that's really not the case with McManus, or Manus. Sorry, I keep wanting to say McManus. I'm thinking Boondock Saints. I keep wanting to say McManus. That's not really the case with Manus. She basically, I guess that kind of puts a pin in that, because it's like she's basically being contacted from the other side saying, no, it's okay, like, it's all right, it's not your fault, like, blah blah blah. Or it could just be her brain telling her what she wants to hear. I don't know. And I think it's interesting. The movie is, I think, looking at it at way more of it's a paranormal kind of thing. But I think it's like the scenes with Nelson with the Billy Mahoney, when they walk in and he's kind of just beating the shit out of himself, and the kid's not even really there. It's like, well, is he really being attacked?
That's kind of like a Fight Club thing, right? Because I was like really confused. I was like, okay, so he's probably beating himself, kind of like a Fight Club situation.
Right, yeah, exactly. So is it just it? So nothing's really attacking you. It's just maybe this thing has woken you up to a point where you realize, this has always been. It's kind of like something stuck in your teeth that you just never really got out. But either way, the debate's still out. But
But we got to move on.
Yeah,
we've spent so much time on this.
Yeah, for the sake of the movie, it becomes a paranormal thing and blah 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 or whatever. But tell us, if you guys listening,
it's fun.
Tell us what you think. Shoot us an email or whatnot. But either way, moving on, we get Steckel and Hurley showing up at the hospital. There's Nelson there waiting. Say, don't turn on the lights. You're going to alert security.
Now, Colin.
Yeah.
I had a massive problem with one massive aspect of this scene. Let's see if you can guess what it was.
I don't know. I'm not like, because there's so many things, especially between Hurley and Steckel. It's like I'm betting it's something between the two of them, but I don't know.
Not really. It's just kind of like a logical thing. Nelson gives Steckel a letter absolving him of the kind of technically assisted suicide. And obviously, Steckel says eventually later, this isn't going to work. Like this isn't going to absolve me. Are you ready? Are you ready for me to get lawyer on you?
I'll get lawyer on my ass, son.
Okay, so this is going to work in New South Wales only. So sorry, guys. New South Wales, Australia. Crimes Act 1900. New South Wales, Section 31C, a person who aids or abets the suicide or attempted suicide of another person shall be liable to imprisonment for 10 years.
Damn, okay, so there you go, in black and white.
Black and fucking white. You can't just give someone a letter and say, hey, you're not in trouble because I wanted to die. That doesn't apply. Right, and I'm sure, that's obviously only our state, but we're not like the United States where your laws are kind of radically different and vary from state to state. Our ones are mostly all the same. Mostly.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
But
fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact. The more you know.
The more you know.
But basically they, and Labratio's a no-show. Dr. Manis is a no-show. And those are really the two better doctors between all five of them. Those two are really kind of the best. And we need Labratio, we need Manis to do this. Well, we're going to do it without him. And it's like, okay, well, you're obviously nuts. Like this is way more of a personal thing for Nelson. At least it feels that way. It's not really, it's kind of like a conquest idea. It's like something that he wants to be famous for, but at the same time, it does really seem like something that he once figured out, but I can't really tell. You would think that it would be more so of like a Julia Roberts thing or Dr. Manis's thing where there's a personal reason behind it, but there's really not a big personal reason behind it. He's just curious, I guess. And so he's going to be the first one to go. Right before he's about to go under, boom, there's Julia Roberts who shows up. I love the line. He's like, okay, you give me 10 cc's of adrenaline, and then you bring me back up. She's like, with brain damage resembling something like a Cabbage Patch Kid. I was like, holy fuck. I like that line. Do you guys have Cabbage Patch Kids in Australia?
Yeah, we do. They're fucking weird.
Oh, okay. Well, it's Australian. I'm sure it is. No, I'm just kidding.
Hilarious. I'm sure they can kill you somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure they have like 8 different types of poison in them. But yeah, basically, I can't sit here and give you the whole scientific rundown of what they're doing. But basically, they're dropping the body temperature down quite low. They're giving him some knockout gas, and they eventually, just kind of like shock him dead to the point where his heart stops and there's no activity. Now, the first time that we're going here, he's only going to be going for 1 minute. And they're still trying to talk him out of it even while it's going on. I love basically, Steckel and Hurley want nothing to do with this. I did not come to medical school to kill my classmates. And I love Hurley. I don't want this on my transcript. I was like, really? That's what you're worried about, your fucking transcript right now? Like
to be fair, he's probably me in that situation. Yeah, I don't want this on my transcript.
Yeah, it's like, dude, no, I don't want this. I might need to get a job later. But yeah, and I love Julia Roberts just like, well, now I see why I'm here. Basically she's going to do it. He knows that she will. And obviously she's the one with the most personal, obviously has the most personal reason for going and doing this stuff. But what's great is that basically Steckel tries to run out, and as he's running out, he's like, someone's coming, and it's Labratio. Here comes Kevin Bacon. Coming in to save the day. I think this guy he's probably the best out of all of them. As far as they even say he's the best student the college has ever had. So obviously he's the most talented between them. And basically, they're bringing him back after a minute. What I love what's going on in the scene where they shock him. is kind of like the visions that are going on in Nelson's head. They're really colorful and are just like that opening shot of that field as they're flying through it. That's such a good shot. But juxtaposed with that, we've got Hurley with his camera capturing all of this in like really grainy black and white. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, there's something neat going on here that like it's showing kind of like, I guess the death can be a beautiful thing, and like he's here's this guy kind of been questioning about it, and it ends up being like this really beautiful thing. But what did you think about the first time they sent him under?
I thought it was effective. I mean, it was effective in making me feel like how they wanted to feel like holy shit, this is a really amazing kind of moment. This is like otherworldly, but it's I'm happy. Like it's a happy place to be. Like this looks like heaven. Like there's a dog going through the field. They're playing with their little, what is it, a kite? They're playing with kites running through the field, I think.
Yeah, like ribbons and stuff.
Yeah, like ribbons and shit, like whatever 80s kids used to do. But yeah, like obviously come to find out that the dog, unfortunately bites the dust. By the way, send this guy to hell for killing the dog, not the kid. I don't give a shit about the kid. Like, you killed a dog. That's fucking... You're dead to me.
Yeah, that's obviously that's one is way more important than the other.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I thought it was really effective, man. It was really effective for the movie to kind of show you that they think that this is really good. This is like going under is a really good and ethereal and like a really crazy, awesome experience. Come to find out that their past is going to come back to kind of haunt them because they went under. It's a cool way for the movie to do that and not kind of have the horror like right up front.
Right. Yeah. You kind of it's you've opened kind of like a bit of a Pandora's box. You don't really know everything that's in there. It's kind of like the stories that you hear, where there's a deal with the devil. It's not always, there's always a catch to it. It's not always going to be exactly what you think you bought. But yeah, and I love. I love those. There's a really, really good shot too, right when they flatline him and they're panning around the room, and they capture everything. They start on Billy Baldwin, as Dr. Hurley, and just rotate all the way around onto Steckel, and then onto Labratio, and then onto Manus. It's like one shot. It's great. It just revolves around the room, kind of catching their reactions as he's flatlining, which is fucking really, really cool. I love that shot. It's so good. But yeah, they bring him back. They're just a lot of medical, 20 cc's of this, clear and blah blah. And that's what makes it so exciting about this. Is we don't know what the fuck. Most of us don't know what the fuck is going on. We have no idea what they're talking about. But yeah, they did actually train with quite a bit of medical staff, ER staff. The writer of this movie, Peter Filardi, he actually did have quite a bit of emergency medical knowledge and researched really heavily into it to make sure that what they were saying was as close to accurate as possible. I mean, obviously there's going to be some kind of jump because, we're talking a little bit of, not really science fiction, but it stretches, there's a little bit of fiction in the science, but it's not 100% like a science fiction movie, which I think is cool. It kind of runs a weird line between like thriller, horror, sci-fi-ish kind of thing.
It does, yeah. It does really skirt the line of like different genres, which is really interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, they end up reviving him. Of course, where's the first place they take him? Fucking Chinatown, for whatever reason. I would want to go the fuck home and get in a bath and rest.
Yeah. Sleep.
Yeah, let's go to fucking Chinatown and get some Kevin Bacon's drinking fucking orange juice in the store. But yeah, they're asking him, did you feel any Oliver replied, did you feel any sensations? Was there was it hot? Was it cold? Was there a light out there? He's like, no. There's just nothing out there. He's like, I know there's something out there, but it's nothing like that. You can't break it down into specifics. I know there was something out there. And they're telling him that he walked on the moon, and all right, guys, let's give him some air. Let's, get him some fluids. I love how he puts that. But this scene, this whole scene kind of wound up spurting off a lot more into the second one, where he's like, can you hear the traffic And he's like, yeah, I can hear it. He's like, underneath that, there's a low hum, and it's lights. I can hear them. He's like, I can feel them. And I was like, I love this scene with Kiefer Sutherland. He seems like
he's great. Yeah,
it's like a kid.
He's
in a
just kind
candy
of like out of it a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's like he just came off of an acid trip or something. But yeah, basically his senses are just like overloaded, and this is something that becomes way more prominent in the second one. They kind of take this and run with it. I didn't really think that was necessary. I just think it's cool that we get just a brief mention of it here. And the Braccio obviously doesn't believe him, tells him that his prognosis is great, other than the fact that he was just dead 20 minutes ago, and jokes with him. Nelson just kind of says, "You're not buying any of this, are you?" And I hate this part. Kevin Bacon's just like, "Hey, man, I'm an atheist. Dude, I don't need to just show me that. Don't just tell me that. There's a way to do that. Like, I can get most of the stuff about these characters. Like, I could see, I could figure that out about you eventually. But,
that's suit me up, Uncle Alfred." Schumacher fucking coming in right there.
Oh my God.
Did you just throw up in your mouth a little bit?
I was like, fucking Alfred. I was like, oh, wait, Batman, sorry. But yeah, basically they started pissing contest on who was going to be going next. We've got Dr. Hurley and Dr. Manis kind of bidding back and forth. I'll go a minute and 20 seconds. I'll go a minute and a half. Are you two so crazy that you're just so tragically competitive that you would gamble with your own lives? I love Steckel in these scenes because he is the voice of reason, but he still is like, he wants to play. He's kind of like, I want to play ball, but I don't want to get hurt. And it's like, dude, that's what I fucking do not respect about him at all. Like, he wants to be there and be a part of it and have his claim to fame with this and say that he's recorded all of this, but he doesn't want any part of it. And at one point he does say, I haven't decided if I want to go yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't really know. And he never ends up going. But that's one of the reasons why he's very detestable in this, is he never goes under there, but he's always so highly critical of it. Which I get it. They ask him to come and be a part of it. But, but I love they eventually say something to him. It's like, well, maybe you would know if you were there, but you haven't gone there yet. You want to be a part of this, but you're too chicken to do it, basically. Which I get it. There's not a lot of people out there that are fucking just like, yeah, sure, strap me up, dude. I'm ready to go. I would fucking do it.
Yeah, like me and you, look at us, like we're like 50-50, right?
Yeah, right. It's like, no, I would definitely go. I asked my girlfriend's brother, Lee. I was like, would you do it? Would you flatline? He's like, oh, fuck yeah, absolutely. Immediately, he's like, no, yeah, absolutely, I would do it. So I'd be interested. Yeah, and if you're listening to this episode, tell us if you would. Tell us if you would flatline. I'm curious. Might end up, maybe even put up a little poll after this when the episode comes out and see how many people would actually flatline or not. That'd be interesting to get a take on. But either way, yeah, they start talking about, Hurley's going to be the next one. We've got McManus out in the alleyway, or not McManus. We've got Nelson out in the alleyway by himself. And there's this first kind of glimpse of what will almost be, and I say they overuse it, but it does look great. It's this blue light effect. It looks really great, but by the end of the movie, they have beat it to fucking death.
Holy shit, so have they, man? Seriously.
So many.
I looked up some kind of little insights and shit like that. Apparently, blue's supposed to tell you that good things are about to happen, and orange/red is the sort of nefarious stuff. And they totally beat this movie to a pulp with those colors, man. Holy shit.
Right. And what's cool though is they flipped the script, whereas Dr. Manis is the only one who's really seen a lot of stuff in red, but hers is not something out to hurt her or make her, feel bad or physically, harm her. It's just really, it's a very forgiving kind of embrace. Whereas when the blue comes up in this movie, it's Billy Mahoney, and it's the girl that tortures, that tortures Labratio, or with Hurley, it's the women all in the stairs as she's coming up to his apartment. All that's in blue, so they kind of pull a psych out on you. Where the blue is supposed to be calming, it's actually starting to get kind of frightening now. But yeah, he's basically sitting on the back of the truck, sees this great graffiti in the background, starts to pop up and sees this dog. I believe the dog's name is Champ. And I'm not sure, is this the boy that he's seeing, Billy Mahoney? Is that his dog, or is this Kiefer Sutherland's dog?
I assumed it's Mahoney's dog.
Okay, because I wasn't quite sure because he's very, he's like champ, like it's almost like wait, he's very interested, almost like it's his dog.
Oh yeah, maybe he knows. I don't know actually. Fuck, now that you bring it up. Jesus.
Yeah, it's kind of. I guess it's Mahoney's because that's it ends up kind of leaving with him towards the end. But either way, the dog's dead, and I'm not fucking happy about that. I just got a dog like 48 hours ago, and I'm very dog sensitive about stuff now. I'm like, fuck you, dude. But we get this brief kind of scene and this kind of ominous feeling. Now we're getting a little bit of foreshadowing. We're setting up, this excellent use of the color blue until about an hour later when they've used it 100 times. But it does look great. Just if they used it a little bit more sparingly, it would have been just fantastic. But they use it so much, even in scenes where they're just driving down the road and, the street lights are hitting them, but the street lights are all fucking blue for some reason. I don't understand. But either way, we kind of get a look in on Hurley and what Hurley's life is like. We see him talking to his, I guess his fiance, talking on the phone. Yeah, Anne.
She's a smoke show.
Really, you think so?
I'd say so. Smoke show.
Okay, noted. Can we get that? Can we get that noted?
Let's get that on the record, please.
Yeah. But yeah, he's basically just talking to his fiance, talking about how they wish they'd gotten married last summer, and he's kind of giving her, being a little ominous himself, kind of being a little cryptic. If anything were to ever happen to me, blah blah blah. And this is totally going to come back later. This is going to come back and bite him in the ass. Fun
fact: she plays Tony Stark's mother in Civil War.
Oh shit! Okay, cool. I did not know that. Yeah. That's little trivia.
Little trivia.
Yeah, but yeah, basically,
yeah, we got Hurley dreaming about tits and ass.
Yeah, right. It fits with his character. It does. I get it. But it is kind of it is really odd. Just basically, you see all these different women. You see nurses. You see what looks like various girls. There's like a real young girl, about 10 years old, who was probably like maybe his first kiss or first love, and then the camera kind of pans up to an older girl who's like 13 or 14 or 15, and like there's some cool stuff. Like I was kind of putting some stuff together. I was like, okay, so we're going from like this might have been when you were 9 or 10, this might have been when you were 13 or 14, and then it just keeps going and going and going and going. And you're like, okay, this dude has fucked a lot of people. Like this guy,
like his dick is ready to fall off.
Yeah, right. This guy is worn out. Yeah. I would hate to see this guy's fucking history, like on his computer. Like, oh my god.
But like, I love later, like when he's going up the stairs, it's like every kind of girl you can imagine. Like, there's like an Asian girl in there. Like, you know what I mean?
There's like midgets and fucking like elves and all types.
Yeah,
of shit.
he's not biased, man. Like he's he treats them equally. It's equal rights.
Yeah, he treats them all like shit.
Oh boy, unsubscribe, 1 star.
Yeah, but yeah, I love the shot of Julia Roberts as her hands come down. It kind of transitions from left to right on the screen, going from black and white to having the color back in. I love the way that looks. But basically, Nelson is having trouble reviving him. Just starts wailing on him in the chest, and they kind of have to shove him off. And there's Kevin Bacon kind of bailing him out, or sorry, Labracio bailing him out. And he's now gone for a little bit further than Nelson, just by 30 seconds. But yeah, they're basically another successful one. Now they're all really starting to itch to go, and they're asking Hurley about his experience. He's saying, well, it's erotic. God, even when this guy's dead, he gets laid. He's like, no, not like sexually or even wantingly erotic, but it just felt very feminine, like something feminine was guiding me. And I was like, okay, cool. I kind of like that. It totally bites him in the ass later, but you can see why for him. It's like it's a very feminine kind of thing. But they're all just, at this restaurant. Obviously, the last people there, what a bunch of fucking assholes, what I wrote down. These people are there, it's like probably 2 o'clock in the morning. This place has all the chairs stacked up. They're like, please go home. I have 3 kids.
Please. This fucking old lady is like, just please, go home. Leave us alone.
Dude, I totally expected her to walk by and just chuck a set of keys at them and be like, "Lock the door when you leave." Like, fuck off.
Don't let the door smack your ass on the way out.
Yeah, right. But yeah, there's Steckel talking about we have finally found something to upstage those fucking baby boomers, and going on in this whole rant about how we conquered space in the West and we conquered ourselves, like we tried religion and philosophy. But I love that woman comes up, tells them to watch their mouths, and there's Hurley. He's like, I died tonight. He's like, oh yeah, it doesn't surprise me. We had Elvis in here yesterday. I was like, that's fucking great. That's a good line back to him.
Good line, for sure.
But they're just asking questions. Did you find it difficult getting back at the end? He's like, no, not really, not from what I can remember. There's Labratio. Labratio is the skeptic of all of this. He's like, oh yeah, you don't remember coming back. Do you remember everything else though, right? He's like, I'm not buying any of this. You guys are full of shit. And of course, he's going to be the one that's kind of the doubter. He's going to be the one that's more critical of this as the atheist. Which I kind of would have liked to have seen one of them be religious, so there would be kind of a more balanced thing where
like
there's
a dichotomy kind of thing,
right? Yeah, somebody to kind of because we never really get into the belief systems of these characters, which is not super important, but it would have been nice to see one of them be moderately religious, have some kind of like monotheistic view.
I think it's best that they kind of left it out, actually.
Really?
I can see them becoming really preachy with it. Yeah, I mean, like, actually, you know what? I do agree that, now that they have Labratio's kind of atheist, is like someone to counterbalance that would be good, but I think they should have just left like Labratio's thing just out of it, the atheism, or even just kind of interpretive instead of so kind of like in your face, because like especially with the closing shot with God, the image of God, it's just really kind of in your face, and I could have done without it. But I mean, like I get how, when you talk about death and like, all these belief systems and things like that, I get how that kind of conversation could come into it. So I get what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting, you talk about that image of God at the very end of it. I interpreted that completely differently. I thought that was obviously looks like the top of the Sistine Chapel. But it made me think there's a guy right underneath him, and in his hand there's fire. And I was like, oh, Prometheus. Like Prometheus, who stole fire from Zeus and brought it to man, and basically took the power of God and gave it to man, and that's kind of what these kids are doing.
Jesus, like I didn't even fucking get that.
Well, it's mainly because I read a quote where I can't remember who it was, but they basically said that Flatliners is like Frankenstein in reverse. It's kind of like instead of bringing back to life, we're killing people, And I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting, and it is kind of like playing God with life and death. Whether with that, I mean, that could just be something from not even from Greek mythology. It could totally be from Christianity, but that's what it looked like to me, at least. And if that's not the image, it doesn't matter. It definitely still holds up. We definitely get the feeling of, the Prometheus and stealing the fire, stealing this thing and giving it to man, but also it ended up being like a double-edged sword. It's good for you, but it's also bad at the same time. You probably shouldn't have this, like, kind of thing. But we get another bidding war. There's Julia Roberts, and she's saying that she wants to go for about 1:50. And, it's so funny because, Labratio, as Labratio's talking, he's like, I don't think any, she's like, I'm going next. No, nobody is going next. He's like, this is blah, blah, blah. And of course, this is where we kind of get the first indications that he's got some kind of feelings for her, because as soon as she starts talking about wanting to go, he trumps her number. He basically bids more. And that I think we're starting to see that he's got some kind of feelings for her, that he's only going because he doesn't want her to be hurt. He doesn't want anything to happen to her. And we get a nice scene between the two of them as they're walking on, and she's saying, you don't have to protect me. Why are you doing this? What's with this fixation of death? It's not a fixation. It's just a curiosity. And it's a good scene between the two of them. It helps because it kind of pays off when their relationship blossoms more towards the end. It seems a little bit more warranted. I do like that. But basically they all break for the night. He's like, hey, can I walk you home? Nope. And she just walks off. I'm like, fucking good for you. And he's going this like old school route with chivalry and trying to, she's like, no, I want to do this. Like, this is not about you protecting me. This is something that I have to do, and I'm going to do it eventually. But I think that's great. Her just being like, no, I'm good. Bye. See you, dude. But everybody kind of goes their separate ways, and there's that great shot of Nelson. He goes into the street and lights that cigarette, and all those bikers just go whining right past him. But it's so weird. It's like they don't have to move, but none of them even react to him being in the middle of the street. They just zip with him right in between them. Like, that is fucking. It's a great shot too. It's really, really eerie when you see it from overhead like that. But it's a really good shot, and he basically it looks like he takes a shortcut through Crime Alley in Gotham. I don't know what the fuck this place is.
Fucking Thomas and Martha Wayne just getting gunned down.
Yeah, right. This looks like the backdrop of Oliver Twist. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Just this awful alley. But this is really effective, when she's like, because in the end, Nelson, we all know what we've done. And it's like, dude, if somebody on the street, some random lady like that said my name, I'd be like, all right, who the fuck are you? Like, why do you know my name? Like, that shit would scare the hell out of me, man. Like, somebody coming out and just saying your name, you've never seen this person, like, ugh, that honestly got me the first time I saw it, because I was like, okay, the scares in this are not, they're not really the scariest thing in the world, but that to me would be pretty fucking terrifying. Have this random wretched homeless woman, oh my god, saying your name, like, ugh, that would scare the hell out of me. But yeah, as we move on, we've got Nelson kind of falling in again. This blue light comes over. He starts following the dog, and I love the way it looks as he's walking around, all these light bulbs hanging down, and he just turns that pillar, and boom, there's Billy Mahoney, and it's like, oh shit, and we don't know who that is, and he's kind of like, kid, are you lost? Like, what's going on? But I think deep down he knows who it is. Like, he's trying to realistically play it off, but I have a very strong feeling like that he's like, that kid looks mighty familiar, and I think that's why he's hesitant to come up to the kid. And he's like, hey, are you all right? Like, as a doctor, you would think he would rush to the kid and, hey, what's wrong? Like, where are your parents? Blah blah. But he's very hesitant of this kid, and for good fucking reason. This kid has like the strength of 4 or 5 people, apparently. He fucking kicks
fucking nutshot.
Dude, yeah, he kicks old Kiefer's ass, man. Like, and that's again something that kind of terrifies me. Like, imagine a kid that's fast, faster than you, and then they, because just little kids, I mean, they can take off and fucking be gone, especially like a 10 or 12-year-old kid. It's obviously going to be faster than my fucking big ass. But this kid has the strength just to fucking rock you with these punches and stuff. And I was like, man, that's honestly kind of scary to me, man. Like, thinking of this little kid who has the speed and the strength to fuck your shit up. Like, it seems like something so odd to be afraid of, but then you kind of, like, I definitely started understanding his fear later on in the movie, when he's just like terrified to even be alone because this kid is just beating the fuck out of him. And it's debatable about whether Billy Mahoney ever even existed, or this is just something that's going on in Nelson's mind, because there is kind of evidence to support what we were talking about earlier. Not to go into that for another 20 minutes like we did, but there's that kind of evidence to support, like, is this in his mind? Like, what's going on? I think that'd be interesting if just to hear somebody else chime in on would be awesome. But yeah, basically, Nelson gets the fuck beat out of him, and we're watching Manus and Hurley as they're coming up to the school, talking about what happened the night before, and immediately there's Hurley trying to get laid again with this girl. I believe her name's Terry. I think that's her name is Terry. But she's got a few screws loose. Yeah, and she supposedly had some near-death experience. And basically, he's filming all of these women because he's getting married, and he wants to have one last sexual escapade, which is, I mean, whatever. That's fucking dumb, but
it's fucking retarded, man. Like, seriously, you are a creep.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like level 11 creep, man. Like, that, go to DEFCON 5. This kid, like, what the fuck? But
launch the nukes.
Yeah, launch him. We have the best nukes ever. But I love this as he's talking to the girl and she starts going on about her near death experience on the TV behind him, and boom, there that tape pops up, and she turns around.
Powerful, yeah.
Oh, dude, that's creepy, man. That fucking scared the shit out of me. Like, put yourself in his shoes. Albeit, he's such a slimy character. You don't want to do that. But imagine this is your deepest, darkest, fucked up thing that you do, and you think that it's on a TV.
Hey, how did Fox News get my sex tapes? What the fuck?
Oh, God.
This is the last time I let them into my iCloud.
Oh, God. They're all going to be after my 1990 Billy Baldwin shape-shifting technology now. Lamest superpower ever. I could turn into 1990 Billy Baldwin at will.
Hey, man. Hey, at least you get to be in the Flintstones. I think he was in the Flintstones. Fucking,
oh, God. I never watched that fucking thing, but...
yeah, it's dog shit.
But yeah, then we're cut back to Nelson, and he's sewing himself up, and that eye
doing some God. Terminator 2 fucking surgery. Terminator 1 surgery
for sure. Like, and he looks rough. That fucking bloodshot red eye. But he's basically, this is Halloween night. He hears the feet outside his door. He runs out, and he sees the shadow coming out again, but the door behind him locks. And I love, you can tell he's really terrified of thinking that it could possibly be this kid at all. And it winds up just being some trick-or-treaters. And his look of relief is fucking actually comedic. He's just like, oh, God. But this scene coming up where, they're
we cut to the weirdest party.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90s party.
Oh,
fucking
dude.
riding in slow motion on bikes in Halloween. Dude, is this did you guys ever have parties like this for Halloween? Because Halloween's obviously an American thing. Like, we have Halloween, but it's nowhere near like what you guys have.
Yeah, no, I mean, my family's huge on Halloween. We actually do kind of like a small haunted house at like my mom's house. She lives in like,
I love it.
Her house is like 118 years old, which she's got like 5 acres. There's, multiple people stopped by and wanted to film music videos there. Said it's just creepy, country music videos, stuff like that. It's kind of out in the country, but we've had parties. We've definitely done some stuff, but oh my God, never something like that. None of the costumes. This must be like the art department all fucked up on absinthe. Like all of them just like making these weird, like everybody looks like something out of like a Talking Heads video. Like I don't know, like
yeah.
It's so surreal. Like the only guy I spotted an Elvis in there.
It's so weird.
And I was like, oh, there's like
it honestly, if like it's just so radically different to the movie. Like it's just like a kind of like a 1 minute portion of the movie where they're just like, you know what, fuck it, let's film this party.
Yeah, let's film some kind of weird fucking like Renaissance looking chick with a helmet on, but she's got these big ass paper mache tits. It's like, what is going on in this fucking party, man? And especially right under the open. Yeah, we're just gonna start a big burn fire here on a bonfire here on the steps of our fucking school. Like that's not gonna be a problem at all. It's like, okay, whatever. But basically, it's Halloween night and it's Labracio's turn to flatline. I fucking love as Hurley is the last one to show up and he's got the skeleton costume on. I love Steckel. He's like, "What are you supposed to be, Boner Man?" Like that was a good line. I loved it. I thought that was so fucking funny. But basically, yeah, they're going to be putting Labracio under this time, and his vision is like very different. And like that's what I like is they all have very different kind of things happen. Nelson and Manus have way more of like memories, but it seems like, and so does Hurley a little bit, but it's mainly Labracio and Hurley kind of have more imagery than anything. There's not a whole lot of substance there.
His thing kind of fucking gave me epilepsy. Like it just fucking it's like a massive like montage of just like shots, like photos, and it cuts like until like you see a baby in a womb, and then it's just like aerial photos of like a snowy mountain.
Mm-hmm.
It's so like jarring.
Yeah, like, but I love the way his starts because it's basically a bunch of cutscenes mixed with some imagery from the stuff that we've seen before. But all of the cutscenes from the movie that we've seen are in like they look like they're all filmed from Hurley's camera. Like they're all much grainier. The quality isn't good, but I love the way it looks, and it kind of. even though we're only seeing stuff that we saw maybe in the last 20 minutes, it looks so good because it's on an older camera, and it kind of, wait, I've seen this before, but it looks different, and it's kind of like the last images in his brain, like playing his whole life flashing before his eyes. So we want it to look a little bit different, like we're seeing the same thing, but it's different this time. And it's like, yeah, we just live these moments, but we're reliving our last moments right before we die. And I thought that was a cool camera effect to do, because it definitely made me think, oh, these are all of his last moments. We're not doing some just like shitty montage over the last 20 or 30 minutes of the movie. But yeah, I love his is so peaceful. I honestly, that's all I wrote in my notes. It's like, it's so incredibly peaceful. Just this, going down the mountain and the snow. Like, I was like, God, and the little kids clapping. It's all like really, like, I don't know where they filmed this. I guess on Hoth. I'm not sure, but it looks fucking great. This is one of the problems I have with the movie though, is they go on with, as they go on with Nelson. Nelson is kind of getting this weird, nihilistic, like fucking carefree attitude. And he did like it, and that's what's so odd for his character, and they're basically talking about, he's going down for 2 minutes. What about 205, huh? 210? What do you think?
It's weird. It's such a weird like character shift.
Yeah, it's very unnecessary, and we're not there yet. Like, I could see this happening when they flatline Julia Roberts' character, Manus. I can see them like doing that as it goes on, but he's just getting like downright like mean, like kind of nasty, and it's like, dude, at this point he's only kind of been beat up like once. Like, dude, I get it, that's fucking like terrifying, but I didn't like, it just felt kind of undeserved, like right here, and it took me out of it. I was like, dude, this is just something to stir the pot. That's all it felt like. And the whole like, 1,000, 1,000, what comes next? It's like, dude, come on, like, that is funny, but can we do that like in 20 or 30 minutes when you've deteriorated a little bit more?
Right, exactly. And also, like, everyone here has brain damage, right? Everyone who goes under must have some kind of form of brain damage, because obviously the way it works is you stop breathing, your heart stops pumping blood, your brain doesn't get any of the oxygen, so obviously, your brain just starts fucking deteriorating. You must have some kind of brain damage if you're staying under for that long and things like that. So yeah, it's just fucking weird.
Yeah, part of me was like, I guess there's some kind of magical number in medicine where, okay, well, if we go past this point, there's going to be major brain damage. Like, we're going to have somebody who's basically a vegetable. I'm wondering what exactly that number would be. I was looking up people who have been dead for several hours or minutes, but that woman with the 17 hours
must have been a fun watch. Must have been a fun research right there.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was, reading about people coming out of comas after like 17 years and shit like that. Like, it was actually kind of interesting. But to get us back on topic, we're like, just like dogs chasing cars. I
wouldn't know what to do with them when I caught it.
Yeah. But yeah, basically they bring Libratio back. Yeah, I love what he what he says when they bring him back out. It's kind of hard to catch like right away unless you've got the subtitles on. I guess it's Hoka, which means good day to die.
Yeah.
From the Sioux Indians, Native American tribe. It's a real macho thing. Gets a good day to die. They ask him what it is that he's seen and what it is. He's like, it's like I'm being watched. It's like paranoia without the fear, and that's an interesting way. I thought that was a really, really interesting way of putting it.
But then, like, I also like how he tries to rationalize it like a scientist. He's looking for a logical explanation for everything that he saw, right? And like Sutherland's like, no, all of the monitors and things like that like showed conclusively that you were dead. There were no synapses firing in your brain or anything like that. Like, you were dead. So tell us what you saw. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. He breaks it down for him. He's like, maybe it would have been some kind of, electric signal would have shown up on the EEG. David, you were dead. Like, I love the way Kiefer delivers that line. He's, especially as his deterioration goes on, it is a cool deterioration. I do kind of like it. but at the same time, it's those prior scenes with him just be acting like a douchebag really haven't been earned yet. We're not there, and that kind of took me out of it just a little bit. I think we can do that, but we'll just move it down just a little bit farther. That's all. But yeah. Basically, and Labratio, he wound up being. I think they said Labratio has been under for something like 4 minutes. Which is insane. And he wasn't even supposed to be down under that long. He was supposed to go down for like 2 or 3. And for, I guess, just Nelson fucking around, seeing how long he can push him, it wound up going to 4 minutes. Another bidding war breaks out. Nelson wants to go again. He says that he wants to go for 4.5 minutes or somewhere around that. There's Manus, no, I've been skipped over twice, and he's like, this is my project. You guys are all writing it on my tailcoats, which is fucking horseshit. He wouldn't be able to do any of this without the rest of them. But I do see his point, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you couldn't do this by yourself. There's no fucking way. And I love Oliver Platt. No one is going for 4 minutes. He's like, well, anything under 4 minutes would be redundant. He's like, his was an accident. His wasn't supposed to be 4 minutes long. It's like, don't be fucking ridiculous, dude. Like, we're pushing our luck as it is. And they basically decide to go for 5 minutes. The whole team backs Dr. Manus, that she's been skipped over. Nelson is basically talking about, well, what do we have here? A mutiny at last. Which, I mean, it's, at this point he is starting to deteriorate, but it's just a little bit too rapidly for me. Like he's gone from upright scientific mind to just kind of like a douchebag over the course of, a few nightmares. But I just wanted to see him hold it together just a little bit longer, before, things really start to unravel. But yeah, we get this we kind of get this ending monologue from Nelson, and he's talking about, fuck the rest of you, you're just tourists here. This was my idea. You're riding on my coattails, just stupid shit like that, that I fucking hate. But Joe Hurley is having a whole other thing going on, and his is, I mean, pretty fucking terrifying as well. Everywhere he's going, on the monitors when they were resuscitating oh god, I keep wanting to call him Fellatio. And I can't help it, dude. Because the little girl, Winnie Hicks, she's the one who shows up in Debratio. She's Winnie Hicks is she shows up in Debratio's thing. Starts at the later on. He kind of starts having his like day/nightmare of what's going on. But basically, she calls him Fellatio, and I fucking burst out laughing when she said it. I thought that was so goddamn funny, man. I just like,
she's got like her, she's just like rattles off all these like fucking like insults.
Yeah, and I mean she's got a mouth on her, man. I'm like, damn, this girl can fucking cuss.
Because I'm sure like she picked it up from it's everything that they must have called her, right?
Right, exactly. She's just reciprocating it right back onto him. Which that scene hasn't happened yet, but that's why I'm fucking calling him Fellatio. Joe Hurley, the point I was goddamn making, was Joe Hurley is starting to see, in all of the television screens, anywhere that he goes, he's starting to see these women, and it's the same pose every single time, and him on top, and them looking over. You told me you love me, Joe, and like, how could you do this to me, Joe? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a fucked up, creepy ass motherfucker, but like, the thought of every single person seeing that on the televisions as you walk by down the street, like, oh my god, like that's fucking terrifying. And just, being confronted with it, I think they do a good job with, like, his is the one that is most fucked up out of, like, with the intention, Nelson, it's later revealed that he kills Billy Mahoney, but that's an accident, same thing, with Kevin Bacon, that's not an accident, but it's just, it's teasing a kid. It's not anything that, worth dying for. But with his, it's just, there's no kind of like innocent justification to it. There's no like, oh, it was an accident kind of thing. This is something, that's going on on right now for this guy. Everybody else's stuff is stuff from when they're kids, and his shit is stuff that's going on like right now. That makes it so much more fucked up. But that's why his is on like every street corner. You know, we have moments where Nelson is left alone and Billy Mahoney shows up, and Manus is alone and her dad shows up, but it's like everywhere Hurley goes, he's seeing this shit. I was like, okay, well, I mean, and rightfully so. He's a fucking pig and a gross motherfucker. But it's great to see him kind of, he never really kind of pays his dues. He never really gets atonement for that, but he is tortured. I will say he's tortured the most psychologically out of anybody through the movie, I think. Obviously Nelson gets whether he's beating the shit out of himself or whatever's going on there. But speaking of Nelson, we move on after after the scene with Hurley seeing all these women. I like this scene, of him basically coming home and locking the door. We've got that blue light effect. Even the lights in his goddamn living room are like all blue. And it's kind of, at this point, I was like, okay, like, dude, Jesus Christ. Like, I'd love to know what the art department's budget was on blue light for this fucking thing. But I love he comes home and right there there's Billy Mahoney with the fucking hockey stick, man. Like, god damn. Like, that's gonna leave a mark, dude. Like, I'm surprised he doesn't look worse by the end of this.
Spits in his mouth, which is fucking disgusting.
Yeah, dude, but it's okay. It's disgusting, but at the same time, I was laughing my ass off. I couldn't help it. Like him, like the kid holding him down, and as he's hawking the loogie keepers on, it's just like, no.
Yeah. It's corny as shit.
I couldn't stop laughing, man. I was like, dude, I get it. This kid has like, as a good friend of ours, Dean Martin from the LSU Media Podcast, he has man strength. This kid has man strength. Like, I get it. But just you screaming. Just, no.
Stop. Let's move on, Colin. Let's move on.
It's so fucking funny, man. It's like the unintentional funny shit is so fucking great, man. It cracks me up. Like, I'm watching it right now, dude. I can't fucking do it. It's so
anyway.
Oh my god. But yeah, we get I'm sorry. We get Labratio, and Labratio's recovering. See, now I got you fucking laughing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay. Let's pull it together.
Steel yourselves, boys. Steel yourselves.
Yeah. We got a fucking hour left of this movie. But yeah, we've got Labratio recovering. Manus has stayed the night, keeping an eye on him. She said she's going off to her shift, and Labratio is trying to stop Manus from doing basically from her flatline, and he is not lying and not doing a very good job of it. He's like, when I went, I don't really know what I saw, but I knew that there was something out there, so you don't need to go. And it's like, he's like the worst liar in the world. And she calls him on it great, too. She's a great character. She's like, oh, so now the atheist believes, blah, blah. Well, we'll have something to talk about when you bring me back. Like, I think their dialogue is great. I will say the dialogue in this movie, 90% of it is crushing it. I think it's great. There's some stuff there's a lot of stuff that's dated, and there is some pretty cheesy stuff, and there's like the bits that we were just laughing our asses off at. But moments like these are really good and really stand out in the movie. Especially because we're seeing her open up. It's really nice. She's been very frigid. She's been emotionally closed off to a lot of these people. And now she's kind of coming around. She's making small talk with Labratio and smiling at him and blah, blah, blah. And generally being like a lot warmer, feeling like a lot warmer than she normally would have been. But yeah, I basically we get these quick scenes of her with her patient saying, that the voices are telling her not, that she's done everything she needs to do. She's saying that they're good voices and that she needs to listen to them. And we get a few shots just of her, drying her hair and looking over at a photo of looking at a photo of like her and her father, and kind of getting like a little foreshadowing, like a little setup for that. But I think it's yeah, moving past that, we get these scenes with Labratio on the train, and he's seeing Winnie Hicks, the little girl. And I love shit bird turd, kick ass, brown nose, macho wimp. Like, dude, she is fucking.
Most of it fucking rhymes.
Yeah, and she's unloading on him, and everybody's laughing at him on the train. I personally don't feel much from this. I don't feel very threatened by this. I mean, I guess it's just humiliating, and it's terrifying to have these hallucinations. But as far as it goes, I think he's probably got off the easiest. You picked on a kid in school and you have to go apologize. Well, that's seems pretty easy compared to a kid coming back and beating you to death with a fucking hockey stick. But yeah, then we get on to Manus's. She's going to flatline. She's going down for 4 minutes. Labratio is rushing to her flatline because he's said that he's not going to show up, basically trying to bluff so she won't do it. They decide they're going to go through it anyways, but after his hallucination, he's like, I'm running straying there, shut it off. She's down for.
He's like, I'm saying some shit.
Right, exactly. He's like, after a minute, he's saying we're going to shut this whole thing down. Why are we shutting it down, Dave? I don't know. Why don't you ask Dr. Death here? I love their dialogues. Why don't you tell me what's going on, Nelson? Nothing. Just bringing Rachel back a little early. That's all. And their dialogues. Shit. Yeah, their dialogue's great. But we have her flatlining memory of this whole party for her dad who's come home. I assume from the Vietnam War. But this whole scene's great. Her dad the actor looks fantastic. He's just so uncomfortable, and it shows really, really well. He's home and he should be feeling good, but there's no he looks so uncomfortable and so just doesn't really want to be there. One thing I did notice is this party, there's all this confetti, they're pouring all this, and it's all in the fucking punch that they're drinking. Don't drink that shit. Don't fucking drink that.
You're gonna have cellophane and paper in your fucking stomach.
Yeah, right. And I don't want to digest that shit. Maybe in small quantities, but fuck, man. But yeah, basically they decided to bring her back early, but we hit a bit of a catch with this exposed kind of big transformer power box.
Let's talk about this transformer power box. You're fucking willingly killing yourselves and then relying on the technology to bring you back.
Yeah,
but obviously this thing is fucking overloaded with wires and shit like that. Hey, take better care of it, guys. Seriously, you're relying on this shit.
Yeah, your lives literally depend on it. But yeah, this power box, and we're seeing it kind of start to fizzle as her flatline memory is going on. We see her going up to the stairs, walking in on her dad, and his back's turned. We don't really see what's going on. There's a lot of steam, and we just see him rushing down the stairs and running out the back door. We hear a gunshot.
I thought he was having a wank. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, what is he doing here? Well, is he so embarrassed he kills himself?
Yeah, that was the 60s and the 70s, man. It was sexual repression in America.
Crazy times.
But yeah, basically her father, I guess his name is Danny Manus, has run across the street and just shot himself. And her mom, this is your fault. Dude, that is some fucked up shit to say to that little girl. God damn it, what the fuck is wrong with you, lady?
Great parenting.
Yeah. So, of course, as this is going on, we actually do lose the power box. They're all trying their hardest to resuscitate her. I could not imagine sitting here without any electricity trying to resuscitate this person, giving them just CPR and mouth to mouth. Holy shit! Talk about fucking nerve wracking, man. I couldn't. This is one of the most terrifying scenes to me, because now we've lost the thing that we need to bring you back. It's oh shit, it's the DeLorean being fucked up and Back to the Future. It's oh fuck.
It's literally oh shit, we've been brought back to the Stone Age. How the fuck did they resuscitate him back in the day without any technology?
Right.
And
yeah.
Man, she miraculously comes back to life. But I do like the shots here in her flashback. I love the zoom in on the bullet, the bullet in the windshield. That's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's great, man. I think her whole entire like dream state is great, and she's down for ends up being right at about 5 minutes, and we get this good exchange between Nelson and oh god, Labratio. I'm not sure what it is that he's trying to give her, but I guess it's just it's way too harsh of a kick, and would end up kind of like atropine. Okay, thank you. I didn't catch the name
so
of it.
they use it. They used it in the movie The Rock with Nicolas Cage, and that's the movie because like that's all about like these chemicals and shit. Like if you get exposed to like the deadly chemicals, then that's what you pump right into your heart to like bring you back. So I think it's some kind of like adrenaline kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I assumed. It was something that would just be not overkill, but like an ultimate like last step. Well, and then we get the scene after they bring her back, finally, which they do, and they're asking him, Nelson, what the fuck is going on? Hurley admits that he's having nightmares. Labratio says that he's having hallucinations on the train. And, that's where Nelson kind of drops out with, so what's been going on? What's happening to your face? He's like, well, the little fella kind of gets carried away sometimes. It's like, oh my God. So, there's Streckle coming out. No, that is, it's one thing for pervert boy here to have a nightmare and for him to have a flashback, but for you're talking about physically touching. That is not possible. That is not true. And I love this, them coming to terms with what's going on. And, basically he knew when they put Hurley under, and, now they've let Manus go, they've let Labratio go, and he's kind of damned all of them. I like what she says, no, you didn't lie, but you withheld information. That's basically the same thing as lying. But Nelson is clearly becoming obsessed with this. Rachel McManus may very well come out of that bathroom with the secrets of life and death. And he's getting very Victor Frankenstein about all of this. He's kind of just going nuts. And they're all pissed at him. You should have told us, Nelson. You guys wouldn't have done it. At least we would have had a choice. I love that dialogue between them, basically going on and on. But yeah, right away, with Dr. Manus, she's automatically having these kind of like flashes with her dad. She sees him in the bathroom. Everything turns red. He's behind her and just kind of appears in the curtains. And that's a really, really great. That's a really, really great setup. Like right away, she hasn't even been out of this place for an hour, and she's already having these like horrible flashbacks. Which is right too. We need to start speeding things up. We need to start we don't need to see her have a couple of days and then have some kind of nightmare about it. We know where this is going. We might as well skip ahead to it. And I think that was good to not give it as much build time as everything else. We get Nelson coming home. He's basically booby trapping his house, like Kevin from Home Alone, trying to trap Billy Mahoney. And we've also got Labratio staying the night with Manus and checking in on her, making sure she's okay. But he is. Yeah, he is. But yeah, despite what Nelson's doing, setting these traps and sitting there with the screwdriver, the second he falls asleep, there's Billy Mahoney, and he just cracks him in the face with that thing. He's got the blood, him spitting out the fucking blood as it comes out. It's like, God damn. And we get another great.
That's rough.
Yeah, there's another great moment too when Manus is over at Labratio. She shuts the mirror, and boom, there's her dad behind her, all zombied out. And I forgot all about that, and that kind of fucking scared me.
Dude, that scared the shit out of me. I was like, holy shit.
That's like the most horror moment of the whole thing. Like that's the only time that I was like, okay, this feels like a straight up horror movie.
I've actually, just a quick, I know we don't really have time for it because this episode's running a bit long already, but I don't give a shit. I'm chucking this in here. I've been watching the show Hannibal. Have you seen Hannibal?
I have not.
Okay, so obviously you know Hannibal Lecter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Hannibal delves into the kind of like the psychological aspects of the character, and especially Will Graham, the FBI agent who's kind of like hunting the Chesapeake Ripper, who is Hannibal. And like there are moments when like this isn't really a spoiler. Like one of the characters blanks out. And like loses track of time. Like seriously, like one day he's like doing something, and then another day he wakes up somewhere else. And like it's shit like that kind of like, this is what the Mahoney thing reminds me of. Like when he kind of like, I'm wondering if that's what's happening to what's his fucking name, Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what's happening. Like he's kind of like blanking out a little bit, and then like, you know, the Mahoney kind of part takes over, and then it manifests itself, and then like he kind of like wakes up. Like later when they're in the van, it kind of feels like that because you see Nelson kind of snap back to reality a little bit.
Right, yeah. You don't know if he's just like filling in the blanks. You know, his mind is just telling him that it's this kid when it's really both of them. You know, kind of like you said, a Tyler Durden thing is a good example of it. But yeah, we cut back to Hurley, and Hurley is going home. There's all these different women hitting on him, you know, and this would normally be this guy's dream. And he's like, dude, just get the fuck away from me. And all these chicks, you know, and he's like, I recognize you. And, you know, as the first couple, you know, they just seem kind of normal, just, you know, girls hitting on him. And, by the time he gets in that apartment, though, dude, he has said every cliche in the book to these girls. You know, I'm not looking to play the field anymore. We don't have to do anything if we don't want to. You know, I need you to show me you love me. I'm like, dude, this guy has some fucked up ass like.
He's written the book. Yeah,
right?
He's written it.
This guy wrote his own book and checked it out twice. Like, it's like, what the fuck? But yeah, and I love, because this is kind of the scene that we're talking about. He never really gets atonement for what has happened. He does get busted, and that's really about it. But this is the most that we get out of him in terms of some kind of, you know, payback for what's happened, which is kind of the point of the movie, and that is odd. You know, I'm glad you noticed that as well.
There's no closure. There's like no closure on his character. Like each character has closure on like their issues. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and everyone has to, like, for example, let's take Labratio's character, for example. He literally has to travel out of the city and apologize to Winnie. Is Hurley gonna have to find every woman and have to apologize to him?
Yeah, right. That's the one of the that's the sequel to it. It still is actually better than the remake, but
oh, for sure. There is one thing that I also wanted to mention as well, and it's one of my sort of like low points with the movie. So Labratio and Nelson. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, I'm having a hard time with these names. Labratio and Nelson's issues, like their main sort of conflicts, are too similar, I thought.
Yes.
They're both in relation to bullying. Like, you know, I was like, is this a fucking anti-bullying ad? Like both of them, like we see, because we get the revelation like in like straight after each other. Like, okay, I bullied this kid, that's why he's after me. I bullied this kid, that's why she's after me. Like, I'm like, seriously? Like, we couldn't have thought of a better one. Except the only difference is that Nelson's one died, I guess.
Yeah, that is one thing that I noted was that the remake of Flatliners, the things that are coming after them are actually a little bit better. Like, if you haven't seen the remake, you know, I don't want to ruin anything for you, but the sins that they have committed, quote unquote, are much more, not even original, but they're just like, the thing between Labratio and Nelson is almost identical. And I was like, dude, you couldn't think of something else? Like, you couldn't think of...
Yeah, I thought it was way too similar.
Yeah, I mean, God, he's a drunk driver, or, you know, maybe he, you know, whatever, you know, he's gotten an abortion or whatever, like, just something along those lines, but not the exact same thing. I'm glad you kind of had a problem with that as well.
It is kind of like smart to show that they had the same issue, but they dealt with them separately, like differently, in different ways. Mm-hmm. Like, because obviously, you know, Labratio can actually apologize to his one, whereas Nelson can't because, you know, he's dead.
Right.
So it is really interesting to see how they resolve their own sort of separate but same issues in different ways.
Yeah.
I did think it was it was weird.
Yeah, it is a bit of a letdown, but yeah, we're cut over to basically Hurley is busted. His fiance's there. Apparently, this is what we were talking about earlier. This really comes back to bite him in the ass. His phone call to her right before he flatlines basically worried her to the point where she's come and checking on him and found the Joe Hurley video library, as he calls it. And she's, you know, she has a great point. You know, he says, none of those women meant anything. She's like, you know, I could at least, you know, you're going to think I'm leaving you because you slept with all these women, but it's just because you have such little respect. She's like, you know, that's why I know it could never work, you know, blah, blah, blah. And her point is, I mean, 100%, you know, she's like, you know, at least if it were just people who meant something to you, and you had some kind of decency and self-respect for yourself, and then respect for them. But you have none of that. Like, how could I be with a person like that? And that's great. It's a fucking great point. But basically, yeah, she and part of me was like, is she in the video library at some point? Like, is this something that, like, he's even got, like, her recorded? Because I'm sure they've had sex at some point, and he threw that on the record. It's like, fuck it, might as well put another one under my belt, which I totally believe it. But we also get Labratio. Labratio is calling all these numbers in the phone books. It's great imagery, all the names crossed out with red, and he's looking for Winnie Hicks. And basically gets a hold of her mother. Mother tells him, where she is and where to find her. But he, as he's leaving, he bumps into Nelson. Nelson's, obviously looking a lot more beat up. How's Rachel doing? Well, she didn't come out of the bathroom with the answers to life and death. I gotta go. And he's saying, please, can I come with you? I really don't want to be alone. This is very out of character for Nelson. You could really feel like, it's like, wow, here's this guy 10 minutes ago. He's telling them they're all assholes and they were riding his coattails. And he's like, please don't leave me alone, dude. Like, wow, like it's really having a profound effect on him. But yeah, I love that. They're riding out to, I can't remember where the place is, but it's about a 2-hour drive. And they're going to ride out to Winnie's house. She's 26 now, which is hard to believe because Kevin Bacon apparently was like 33 when they were making this movie. He was like a lot older than the rest of the cast. But yeah, and this
he doesn't look it.
No, he doesn't. But when you start kind of looking around, you look at like him and Julia Roberts. I'm like, I can kind of see it. Like, I can see it a little bit.
That's true.
But yeah, this is a great scene with Manus as she's performing. I guess just doing a test on this cadaver that she's got here, and this scene was pretty fucking scary as well. The arm starts to lift out from underneath the sheet, and it's her dad. It's like, oh fuck that, dude! Like I know for me,
creepy.
Yeah, dude. Like I don't blame her at all for fucking just hauling ass out of there. And of course, there's Schlecker. I keep wanting to call him Schmuckler or something. Schleckel. But Schleckel and Hurley, and Hurley chases after her, trying to figure out what's going on. We also cut back to Labratio and Nelson. Labratio is trying to talk to Winnie and apologize. Yeah, and she's got a good life for herself now. She's got a nice house. She's got a family. She's got a beautiful garden, a greenhouse, just filled with all these really great things.
She did well.
Yeah, she did really well. And basically, he's just going on about, I drove up from the city. That's my truck there. And it's basically just making an atonement for what he's done. And she's not really accepting of it at first. She's kind of just like,
I don't like this scene. I don't. Really? There's just something about it. Yeah, like. I get what he's doing, and it's very necessary for the story to go this way, but there's something about it. I don't know. I feel bad for her. I feel bad that he has to remind her of all this. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure like she's kind of forgotten about it. Like she mentions, she's like, I don't really remember much of it. Which, like, if you think back about it, like, what do you really remember that much from high school like that? I mean, I guess if it was that traumatizing, mm-hmm. then you probably might. But like, I mean, look, you've moved on. You have a kid. You're married. You have a husband. You have this amazing house. You live out in the middle of nowhere in isolation. Like you're doing great. And she's forgotten about it. And like, I don't like that. To progress Kevin Bacon, I'm going to call him Bacon. To progress fucking Pork Rinds character, like you have to dredge this poor lady back to her childhood. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I see what you mean though, because also it's. If this were a quest in a video game, it would be the lamest quest ever. It would be just like, you have to go and talk to someone and apologize. And I get it. It's nice because not everything is just absolutely life and death. He's just being tortured basically of his own guilt of being this ugly little kid, this little shit. And she, she says, I haven't been that ugly little girl in a long time. And I do like his line, you were never ugly. And so you can kind of see just in her dialogue the impact that it has had on her, that I'm not that ugly little girl. So she that time she really thought that she was just this ugly little girl. And then basically it's like a 10-minute scene just for him to fucking apologize. And I guess it's just, she's rejecting of it at first and acting like it's not really a big deal and that she's over it. But obviously she must not be, because here he is getting, tortured about it. Obviously she, must not be over it. But she does ultimately forgive him. She's like, David, it's okay. Thank you. I forgive you. And he's, he says thanks. And that's really just about it. And it's one of the most anticlimactic scenes of the movie, really, because it never
peters off, right?
Yeah, it just kind of trails off, and that's really about it. So I'm glad that we both had problems with just the fact that Nelson and them had very, very, very similar kind of issues. This scene coming up with Nelson getting attacked and Labracio's truck by Billy Mahoney. This scene is fucking dumb for a couple of reasons. What I don't understand is he's being attacked in the back of a truck where there's a tarp, like literally 6 inches away from his head. But Labracio comes out and breaks the fucking window with the rock.
I thought that too. I was like, what?
Why? Well, I I get it. It's more exciting, but I feel like a better scene would have been him coming back and ripping the tarp off, and it's the reveal that he's just cutting his own ear open with this pick. And that is a much
action
better
movie,
scene.
Yeah, action movie has to break the glass.
Yeah, we need stuff being broken. Yeah. But yeah, we've got this. This is where we start getting into the debate. Maybe he really is fighting something off that just Labracio can't see or can't touch. But his eyes are closed, like he's just completely out of it. And he kind of has to bring him back to reality, like you said earlier. And the look on Nelson's face is just so. Oh my God, I've been doing this to myself. Like his look is very. Worried, very worried about what he's doing and what he's probably just doing to himself. But after that, we get this scene, but we're all of them, kind of meeting up again. They're talking to Manus, oh, hey, how you doing, Nelson? You doing okay? Well, I'd like to thank you for the nightmare. He's just being, a fucking complete asshole talking about, you guys wanted to come on the ride. This is the price that you pay. Oh, you want to look at death? Look at me. This is death, and it is fucking beautiful. He's got some good lines, but his deterioration is kind of sloppy a little bit. I do like it, but he gets a little bit too I don't know. He is unraveling, but he's almost just a little too sarcastically cynical for me. He's almost funny about it in a way, and I don't know. I didn't really care for that. I thought it was. I thought it was I thought it was okay, but he's like, oh, Dr. Dave here thinks he can solve our karmic problems or something. I'm like, dude, just you don't need to say that. It sounds stupid anyways. There's nothing about that sounded cool. He just sounded like a jackass. I don't know why. I just never liked that part. But basically, Labracio is saying, go take him to find Billy Mahoney. He's thinking that you can solve the problems just like what he did with Winnie Hicks, but that's not the case. We don't know. They don't know that, and we don't know at this point either, that Billy Mahoney has in fact been dead for 18 years or something. But we also get the scene between Labracio and Manus, talking to her, what's going on? What's the problem? She says, that my father shot himself, and my mother blamed me, and he says, he's just trying to tell you to let go. That's all of it is. She's like, then why is he back? Why does he have to come back in this way? Everybody else is being charged with their sins. It's like an atonement for everything else that people have done wrong. She's like, if I really haven't done anything wrong, then why is he back? And that's a really good thing worth noting, that kind of gets looked over, is the fact that she really doesn't do anything wrong. So why the fuck is he here?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's some inconsistencies like that. that we already talked about, I guess, and it's just it does feel weird.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, and we've got Nelson and Schleckel and Schleckel and Hurley. Basically, all going to the cemetery, and Nelson is doing all the shortcuts from when he was a kid. Just over these walls, man. Blah blah blah, and acting like a total kid again. Really starting to unravel at this point. And he takes him to the cemetery. Why were you in a cemetery? He's like, because this is where Billy Mahoney is. You want to know why I knew he was here? Because I put him here. And that's where we finally get the whole scene of him throwing these rocks at this kid in the tree, and like, God, what a little fucking evil bastard he was. Like, fucking just beaming rocks at this kid, like 3 of them. I'm
fucking
like, what
murderer?
the fuck, dude? Like, no, good. You're a doctor now? You're a fucking doctor? I'm like, holy shit! Like,
his life turned around, man.
Yeah, right. I'm like, dude, only in America, can a little white kid commit murder at 9 and grow up to be a doctor? It's like, what the fuck?
Emphasis on white.
Yeah, right. I'm like, holy shit. But yeah, we go through the whole scene with Billy Mahoney. Basically, they've been beaming him with rocks, knock him out of the tree and kill him. And, Nelson said, I was taken away from my family when I was 9. I was put in a school for boys. I thought I paid my dues. I thought this is over with. Why is this still going on? Obviously, he feels like that he's paid his time for it and doesn't know why this is still being brought up. This is when he bails on bails on the 2 with him, bails on Hurley and Schleckel, and basically leaves them there, takes the keys out of the car and runs like a true fucking just whack job. But this is kind of smart because he's trying to slow them down so they can't get to him, so he can flatline himself like faster. And basically he's on a suicide run now and doesn't want them to be able to resuscitate him successfully. And this is where I kind of start liking the unraveling of Nelson. He's just like, dude, he's fully committed to this idea of like, I've got to flatline and just make some kind of piece of what I'm doing, and I've got to do it by myself. And basically is on a suicide mission to do this, and doesn't care if anybody successfully resuscitates him or not. He's just, I need to make right what's wrong. And I love that. I think that's a great bit about his character's just kind of demise. Well, not literal demise, but we get another one of these. Like, I love the use of the red lighting in this when Manus wakes up with the Labratio, and she goes in and everything turns red, and there's the father again, and boom, the light drops as soon as Labratio shows up. That's great. I love the use of lighting in this movie. I think that it's one of the few things that, this movie is not a fucking masterpiece, but the things that it does right really well are the lighting. The lighting is done exceptionally well. It tells us a lot of things. Maybe it's overused a little bit. Well, maybe a lot of it, but either way, the lighting is just
lot.
Yeah, the lighting is just fantastically done. But the only thing I didn't really care for also was this scene. Like, I like that she goes to the bathroom, everything starts to turn red, boom, Labratio shows up, and she it all goes away. What I don't like is that we immediately go right back to it, like 2 scenes later. Like, literally, he leaves and boom, we go right back to it. I'm like, why not make the first one just a dream instead? And then when she actually goes in, she actually is having a hallucination. That I didn't really care for. That seemed just kind of lazy. Like, well, we got to do this at some point, so we better just go ahead and do it now. I was like, well, don't tease us with it fucking 45 seconds earlier. Like, I just didn't care for that. But basically, it slows down to like a glacial pace here. And I think there's another thing about this. I think this movie's a bit too long, like a smidge too long. And I think it's like things like this that kind of play into the runtime a little bit. So, right, yeah, I think they do a good job juggling, these 4 characters. Oliver Platt's kind of in there, but fucking not really. But this is where we get the reveal. I love everything's red. She's going back up the steps, but now this time she's an adult. She looks down and sees the tambourine that he's kicked over, and all the other times that she's relived this memory. But basically, she walks in, and her father, I guess, is shooting up heroin. He has gotten addicted, and gotten addicted in the Vietnam War, and just he's just broken. Emotionally, he's broken. Just one of many stories you hear of soldiers that turn to opium in the Vietnam War just to not go insane. So obviously, he brought his addiction back with him and just killed himself from shame. Which is that just sucks. That's just
It's heavy, heavy as shit, man.
It's heavy, and it's just so unnecessary. It's like, dude, I get your shame in this, but don't kill yourself over it, man. Like but it's a different time back then. But they embrace. I love that she basically is, getting the kind of the resolution in this. He's saying, I'm sorry, and going on. What I love, if you notice it, is in the shot when they hug each other and the light starts to turn from that red to the orange normal, the walls literally start like sliding away. Like it gives this feeling of basically like everything's not so closed in anymore. We're not so claustrophobic.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm noticing that now, dude. I don't know how they achieved that effect. That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess they just had the room on like wheels or whatever. But I read somewhere in the trivia of like Goofs that it was like, oh, that's a mistake. I'm like, no, I kind of feel like if they didn't want to show that, they could have found a way not to show that. Like,
they could have just put it in tie-dye if they didn't want to show it, but like and it definitely plays in thematically as well, right? The walls sliding away because she's atoned, well, not atoned, but she's come to grips with it.
Right, exactly, yeah. We get Nelson calling Manus and telling him, Rachel, I'm sorry for everything that's happened. She's like, no, it's not what you think. She says that none of that matters now. He's like, oh, Rachel, everything matters. I really am sorry, and hangs up the phone and takes off towards the lab. Really getting into the final act here. And this whole, I'm starting to realize this entire fucking college campus just looks like something out of 28 Days Later. It all just looks like the world has just come screeching to a halt.
Yeah.
But yeah, these scenes coming up too, like you said, they're not a lot of information, but a lot of stuff dragged out with a lot of imagery. I do like the imagery. I do. But if you want to just talk about it in like a bulletin point way, there's not a lot to go on. Basically, Labratio comes and picks up Schleckel and Hurley and pick them up because Nelson has left them abandoned. They decide to rush over to the school, which is where just where else would he go? Because he said, I need to make amends. The only way he could make amends is by flatlining. So they go to the logical place, and found that he has basically flatlined himself, which is, God, just how fucking dangerous, man. I mean, it's dangerous enough with 5 med students who are near graduation, and you have one of the best students in the school. Like, fucking flatlining yourself, like, I mean, again, I guess he's just not worried about coming back, but that's like, damn, dude. Like, unless he's like, no, they'll come and get me. They'll come and get me. I'm like, I don't know about that, dude. You got a small window to fuck around with there. I wouldn't bank on that, man. But yeah, of course, Manus, she comes rushing up. Obviously, gotten a message from him. They don't really know how long he's been out until she shows up and says it's been over 9 minutes. 9 minutes is basically double what any of them have gone. It's just fucking insane amount of time to be dead.
It's 9 minutes since he hung up the phone, right? Then he had to run across and get in and prep all the technology and shit. So really, it's only been probably like 5 minutes.
Yeah, probably like 5-6 minutes. I think all in all, like, yeah, he ends up being dead for like 8, 9, 10 minutes. It's a long time he's dead, man. It's a stretch when they bring him back. It's kind of hard. I'm like, oh, okay, I know it's a movie, but whatever.
He's definitely got brain damage, man.
Yeah,
he's a walking vegetable.
Right, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, basically Nelson's whole vision, now it's changed, where before it was Nelson and the 2 boys chasing Billy Mahoney. Now it's Billy Mahoney and the 2 boys, and it's not this beautiful, serene, like
I like
amber.
That. Yeah, I like
it's not this beautiful, serene, amber-colored field anymore. It's just dark, and it's like some fucking Nightmare Before Christmas shit. Just this big ass, like, scary fucking tree and that ominous light behind it. It's beautiful. Like, it's gothic as fuck, but I mean, it looks so good. But yeah, this scene is hard to watch, especially for all the needles they put in his fucking throat and the chest. It's like, ooh, like I'm not afraid of needles, but like a shot in the arm doesn't bother me. Something going in like somebody's throat or something like that, I'm like, I'm gonna throw up.
Really,
Like,
I can't. I've never really had that. I've
dude.
never really had that kind of reaction to a movie. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm really good at separating that stuff, I guess, subconsciously. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always just like, oh, it is a movie. I don't know. Unless it's something like really, really like, I don't know. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Maybe I'll fucking come up with it in our next like 8 podcasts away. I'll be like, hey, remember in Flatliners when we were talking about this? Yeah.
See, it makes me think of The Exorcist when they hook that thing up to her throat and all the blood starts squirting out. I'm like, bleh, no, like, nah, like again, a shot in the arm, a shot in the leg or whatever, seeing Mia Wallace getting her chest, hit with that adrenaline pump, I'm fine with. But when you start shoving shit into people's like fucking throats and their jugulars and stuff, I'm like,
fucking trachea.
Like, yeah, that shit is fucking hard to that shit is hard for me to swallow.
Oh, you know what it is for me? It's the sound of like the metal in the teeth.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know
like
how she's like jamming it. Yeah. There's always that scene in American History X when the teeth is grinding along the fucking curb, and you can just hear it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Oh, dude, the fucking curb stomp in that. Ugh.
Yeah, like the most infamous scene of that movie. But yeah, basically, they're trying to revive Nelson, and it's not successful. And of course, in his kind of flatlining dream as well, Billy Mahoney finally pops him with that rock, but not before he's finally able to say, like, Billy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this, like, I'm sorry. But it doesn't stop. Billy Mahoney just pops him with that thing and sends him flying out of the tree. The effect of him falling down out of the tree is so laughably like bad. It's just him so slowly moving down.
It's fucking hilarious, man.
Dude,
like, I was just like, what's happening here? Is he like swimming?
Yeah,
like,
right. It's like he's
like
swimming through the air, just
yeah.
Dude, I
he's
can't
doing like a
help it.
freestyle.
It's so fucking funny, dude. Like, it's just that same kind of premise with him spitting in his face earlier. I can't help it.
So dated.
But basically, I think that Billy Mahoney just wanted him to experience what he experienced. He's like, listen, I don't want you to die. He's like, but you're never gonna. You can't fully atone for what you did till you understand how really you made me feel. And just as a little kid, and Nelson's experiencing this as an adult technically, but I think just putting him back in his kid body, like, oh my God, like where's my mom? Where's my dad? I'm so terrified. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he lets him feel it as a child would. Not really as like adult Nelson, medical student. He lets him feel it as like 9-year-old Nelson. That's a good band name, actually, 9-year-old Nelson. But trademark. But yeah, I think I love this scene. I think it's probably one of the most visually beautiful scenes of the movie. Billy Mahoney standing over him, and he takes the hood off, and he just smiles and walks off with the dog.
This was like this looks like some Stephen King shit. Like right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's all the fog. There's so much fog in this movie and mist.
Oh, yeah. Especially when they're in, like, Chinatown. Like, apparently Chinatown is just, like, 35% steam. It's just literally pulling up out of the gutters and just, like, out of the fucking, like, sewer drains and stuff. But I love the shot. Yeah. I love the shot of Nelson as he's running back across the field, and there's that beautiful light coming out from behind the tree line, which makes me feel kind of like the original Pet Sematary. There's some kind of imagery like that in there as well. I think maybe that's why we're thinking Stephen King. But I love, basically he's flatlined, he's dead. They have a minute where Labricio's saying, I'm sorry, God, we stepped on your fucking territory. Isn't that enough? I do love Steckel. He's just like, apparently not. Yeah, he's he's just like, no, it's not enough to apologize to him.
But again, I kind of wish that they'd remove Steckel from this. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like even for the comedic relief, it wasn't really that great. And I was just like, he's just a waste of space. Sorry, Oliver Platt.
Yeah, like towards the end of the movie, like he's very absent from a lot of stuff, especially from almost this whole last scene. He seems very
because he doesn't
absent.
go under.
Yeah,
like he's got no like nothing to resolve.
Yeah, and no frame of reference for what's going on with everybody else. And I don't blame him. He does say at one point, maybe I would have gone under at 3 minutes or 3:40, but not 5 minutes. And now that's when people start having the nightmares. And he's like, I'm definitely not fucking going under now. So I do understand that. But yeah, I feel like. I don't know. I feel like Nelson. Yeah, if you'd have killed him off, do you like what would you have thought about that ending if Nelson would have died?
I thought they were going to kill him off. I would have been happy with it because him coming back, number one, is just implausible. Like, this guy's been dead for over 10 minutes, and number two, if he does come back, he's got severe brain damage to the point where he's like. He's a vegetable. He can't even talk. He can't even
He's definitely not going back to med school.
Yeah. Number three, he's also a terrible person. Like, I get the atonement and shit, but hey, you killed someone. You killed a kid.
Yeah, you killed a fucking kid, dude.
Yeah, I would have been more than happy if they left him dead, but I also get from the point of the story that they have to kind of wrap on like a happy ending kind of thing. So, I don't know. I definitely would have liked him to be dead.
Sorry,
Kiefer.
Well, it also hits. It also hits a thing where it's, you've been fucking with death and you've been playing chicken with death the whole time, and none of you have died. And I think
there's no stakes.
Right, yeah, and like we feel like we feel some of the stakes. We feel like we feel, we feel like it's there. But I would have been fine with Nelson if Nelson. It would have been nice to see Nelson go. This isn't enough for me. I don't know if in fact this is life or life after death. To see him go into the light and just to confirm his own, to confirm the whole reason why this whole fucking thing started. The whole reason why we're doing all this is because he wants to know if there's life after death. It's like, well, dude, now go into the light. You'll find out. Like, you're not going to be able to tell everybody, but you'll know enough. And I think that would have been a cool ending. We'll give him the Disney ending where fucking everybody lives or whatever. And that's great and all. That's nice. But it would have hit a little bit harder, and I would have been okay with him dying, or just some kind of ending where he doesn't just walk away, just scot free, no problems. But they, of course, like we said, they do resuscitate him after a nice lengthy minute and a half, allowing Kevin Bacon to have a monologue. But I love he runs back over with those pads just really quick while he deserves to die and fucking shocks him. All in all, yeah, so they bring him back. Last thing really said is Nelson, I guess it's not a good day to die. So kind of cool. We end on the line that we started with, but just a little bit different. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's Flatliners. Nobody learns anything, and everybody gets to live.
Typical 80s/90s movie.
Yeah, right. Now everybody gets away scot-free.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have actually like a couple of comments. Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it?
Well, we have two. We've got two, right? So you can read our friend of the show's Dean's if you want.
Yeah, sure. Basically, we kind of put it out there. What did you guys think of Flatliners? Our good friend Dean Martin over at LSG Media. If you guys ever get a chance.
By the way, they have awesome new merch. Like, I'm wearing one of their t-shirts right now. Pretty fucking awesome.
Very, very comfy. Very comfy.
So comfy.
But yeah, any of their podcasts, The Hawkins Report, Walking Dead, oh God, there's just some Westworld podcast. They have so many of them. The Science Fiction Film Podcast. Please check out their membership, LSU Media Illuminati, Liberty Street Geek, LibertyStreetGeek.net. That's LibertyStreetGeek.net. Now it's burned into my memory from all their episodes. But yeah, basically, Dean commented, "This movie scared the shit out of me when I originally watched it back in the day. I recall there always being a sense of dread, but I thought the idea was really cool. Certainly unique. I remember really liking it. Yeah, it's one of those movies that kind of, like, not a lot of people can remember a lot of stuff from it, but they kind of, oh yeah, that was a movie that did get made. And I think that the remake has helped with some of the resurgence in that, but, ultimately left a bad taste in people's mouth. But the only good thing from the remake is that hopefully it makes people go out and watch the original. And I think this is a good movie. I'm going to give it like a 7 out of 10. I don't own this, but will soon. It's just very nostalgic for me. It was a good palate cleanser after we just did The Winter Soldier. And it was nice to sit down and talk about a movie that's a little bit older, a little bit of a smaller budget, definitely a throwback, and talk about something that's, it's a multitude of different movies. We have a thriller, we have science fiction, we have, we have like a horror thing, a revenge movie almost. Like there's a lot of different genres that this thing dips its toes into. And I'm glad. I don't know what made me think to do this movie. I just pulled it out of my ass. I was like, dude, Flatliners. But I'm glad I did. You can watch it free online. It's on Vimeo. That's where I watched it.
Dude, you were like confident. You were confident with this movie. You were like, Flatliners.
Yeah, like you guys were like, "Hey, what do you want of Flatliners?" Like I was immediately like Flatliners, because it's a movie that I've always loved, and I say this a lot, but it still hasn't had its day in the sun. I feel like it flew a little bit under the radar, but as far as something science fiction with a good premise, Flatliners is good, and it's right there. I would highly recommend it, and I'm definitely going to be owning it soon. But what do you think?
I just wanted to touch on a comment from William. Do you even lift, bro? Ex-Marine, Semper Fi, Alvarez. Thank you for your service, buddy. It's not my country, but I 100% respect that.
Yeah, I like how you say it, but I didn't. I was like, oh,
yeah, I know. You fucking unpatriot cunt.
You fucking commie.
He talks about the remake. A great movie. The remake is trash, right? I got about 10 minutes in and then checked out. Might have been the actors.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the actors.
It's rough. But yeah, man, I'm literally on the same page with you. Oh, I don't know about literally. Like, we don't have pages here. But yeah, a 7 out of 10. It's would you say it's fun? I was about to say this is a fun movie, but it's not. It's pretty dreary. But it's definitely got some pretty cool ideas. Like we like before we started this podcast, we were like, all right, this is going to be a short one, but here we are 2.5 hours later. It's because it dives into philosophical themes pretty heavily, and it's really interesting to talk about and really ponder. And there's really not many movies out there that really kind of ask this question. Like we talked about Final Destination, but that's just really torture porn when it comes down to it. It's not really a think piece, whereas this one's a bit more of a sort of cerebral, think about it kind of movie. I dug it, man. The actors were really good. There were some issues, like we said. Oliver Platt's character could have been cut out completely. You could have had another sort of separate situation between Sutherland and Bacon's characters to kind of flesh them out a little bit more and kind of differentiate them a little bit more. But it is what it is. This is definitely a Joel. It's actually when you think about Joel Schumacher, he makes a really kind of like, now that I think about it, forgettable movies, but they're good. They're like good forgettable movies. Like 9mm is good but forgettable. Phone Booth, good but forgettable. Also another movie with Sutherland. He must really like Sutherland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lost Boys I can't really remember, so obviously it's forgettable. But yeah, let's not dive into the Batmans. But yeah, man, I thought it was pretty decent, man. I definitely much higher on it than the remake. But yeah, it was good. And a good thing about the podcast is that I get to discover movies that I otherwise wouldn't have discovered. So yeah, I really appreciate you bringing this one up, man.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I think there's actually a funny story real quick before we sign off here. I've had a list of movies for years movies like this that I grew up with. Not a lot of people my age have heard of now. They've kind of forgotten about. And, somewhere along the way, somebody always ends up talking about a remake or doing a remake. And for years, I've said I've always wanted to do, if I could remake any movie, if I could pick any movie to remake, I would love to remake Monster Squad. I always thought that would, obviously everybody knows how much I fucking love Monster Squad. And there's been a few other ones, but right behind Monster Squad was always Flatliners. I was always like, dude, if I could remake Flatliners, I would love to have. I mean, I'm not saying I could. I'm not a director. I couldn't do that shit. But if I were a director, if I could be allowed to remake any movie,
Matt is.
Do it.
Matt, Mr. Vella is a director.
Oh yeah,
get on it, Matt.
Well, yeah, dude, that fucking. I mean, it can't be any worse than the other one. But I always thought this thing had a great premise. That it gets a little hokey at certain points, but it is still it is very entertaining, and it deals with some heavy thoughts. And we could have done this podcast and done it very quick and just gone through the story as it is. But it's a movie that you can't just talk about the story straight up and then not get into some kind of. What do you think happens when you die? Would you flatline? Like it kind of leaves you asking you and your friends or your mates a lot of questions about what would you do? How would you feel about this? Would you do it if there was some type of chance that something from your past would come after you? Like ultimately, are they better people for having gone through this? And I think so. They've atoned for things that they've been carrying with them, and some of them don't even realize that they've been carrying with them the whole time. Obviously, it's a lot more present in Julia Roberts' character, but with Kiefer Sutherland and Kevin Bacon, these are things they've completely forgotten about. I don't really like the fact that we don't ever see anything pan out with Billy Baldwin. I would like to have seen him, man, I'm leaving school. I got to go to some kind of rehab or something. I've got some kind of problem. Like, did
you pick up on that before I brought it up?
Yeah, because there was I guess. The only justification you can say is that he gets his engagement thrown off and all these people are going to find out about what kind of person he is. But at the same time, there was never any. He could have been one that honestly got killed, and that seemed like the whoa, because that kind of starts happening in the remake. We get some deaths, we get some definitely get some deaths in the remake, but we don't have any of that going on in this one. And I thought we could have stood to have lost. Billy Baldwin's character, and then maybe later on lost Kiefer Sutherland's, just to show, like, dude, this is not, you don't get to just sit here and play with matches and get burned and then, act like it's not a big deal. Like, no, you're going to feel the burn, dude. Like, this is something you don't need to fuck around with. I'm not saying that Hurley's character deserves to die, but ultimately it's more so that he's a victim of obviously flatlining. If he were to die, it would be awesome just to see him not so much be, justified. Yeah, we'll kill him because he's a pervert. Well, I think that's kind of extreme. But it ends up being a mix of what his choices are sexually plus, his curiosity with flatlining that maybe should have led to his death. I would have preferred to have seen it that way because nothing really petered out for him. Like, he lost a little bit, but not like he was, it's nothing like what these other people go through. But ultimately, it's a good movie. I give it like a 7 out of 10. I'm super excited to eventually be able to remake this movie with Matt Vella. I'm just kidding. That actually would be pretty fun. He's probably like, "Oh, I've never seen this fucking thing." The thing is, like, I've never seen it. That's my terrible Matt Vella Australian impression. But yeah, unless there's anything else you want to say, Zoheb, you want to sign us off? You want me to sign us off?
Look, you know what? You're better than me than this, but you're better than. Wait, hold on. You know what? Fuck it. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Midnight Double Feature. We are everywhere right now. There's probably no platform that you can't find us on. Number one, we're on YouTube. All of our videos. All of our sound clips get uploaded to YouTube. So if you're living under a rock and you can't listen to podcasts, don't have a podcasting app or anything like that, you can always just go to YouTube and listen to us there. We are on Instagram. The tag is at Midnight Double Feature. We're getting a lot of play on there right now. Building up our little follower base. It's really cool. Comic-Con's happening right now, so we're posting a lot of posters and things that are coming out from Comic-Con. Also, we're also on Facebook, which is also where we get a lot of our play. Everything that goes to Instagram goes to Facebook, so you're not really missing anything if you're on one or the other, so it doesn't really matter. We have 2 pages there. Midnight Double Feature is our main page. That's where we post all of our updates to our actual podcast. And the After Party is where we post all of our memes and sort of news that are coming out of Comic-Con and everything that's kind of in the film industry right now, and everything that's sort of noteworthy. So the After Party is the page that you're going to want to follow. That's 2 words, the After Party. What else, Colin? You can send us a email if you have any issues with the podcast, if you have any constructive criticism, because I don't want to hear anything bad, because I have a low tolerance for bad comments, because, it's that kind of world that we live in right now.
Yeah, fuck the trollers.
Yeah, I'm scared Disney's going to fire me for saying bad comments.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. That email address is midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. But yeah, honestly, you can reach us anywhere. You can even reach us via our personal profiles. We don't really give a shit. So yeah, man. That's pretty much it. That's the go.
Yeah, dude, I had a lot of fun covering this. I know it's gone on a little bit longer than we expected it to be, but it's an hour and 45 minute long movie. And I think we spent almost as much time laughing about Kiefer Sutherland getting spit on as we did the philosophies of life after death. So it was a good
conversation.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're not sure what episode we're going to be doing next, just kind of looking at a few of them, but as soon as we know something, you guys will know something, and we look forward to playing for you guys next time.